Chapter 30-22. Brother Yuan, this purple-clothed kid doesn't seem to be 100 years old. The green-clad young man extended his divine consciousness slightly and discovered that the purple-clad young man standing in the distance was less than 100 years old. At this moment, the purple-clad young man was impatiently dealing with their goddess, Murong Xiao Xiao. Even though he knew that it was impossible for him and Murong Xiao Xiao to be together, seeing the purple-clothed young man like this, he was still very unhappy. Less than 100 years old? Hearing the words of the green-clothed youth, the black-clothed youth also extended his divine sense. After a moment, he confirmed that the purple-clothed youth was indeed less than 100 years old. A peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who was not even 100 years old was considered lucky to have made it this far. He didn't think that Murong Xiao Xiao's enthusiasm for this boy who was less than 100 years old was because of his strength. He thought it was because of Oya. But even if it's because of Oya, that brat actually dared to brush off Xiao Xiao's enthusiasm with such a perfunctory attitude. Unforgivable. The black-clothed young man's gaze towards Duan Tian suddenly surged with waves of fierce cold light, as if he was about to devour Duan Tian. Of course, if one looked closely, they would be able to see that there was more jealousy in the depths of his eyes. He was so jealous that it seemed like he was about to spit fire. As soon as the two divine senses approached one another, Duan Tian was aware of it, and now he happened to see the jealous eyes of the black-clothed youth. Who is this person? I don't think I know him? Duan Tian frowned slightly. However, when he saw the other party looking at Murong Xiao Xiao from time to time, realization dawned on him. So that's how it is. Looks like a femme fatale. Just as Duan Tian had this thought, Murong Xiao Xiao continued to chat with Duan Tian. Boom. Rumble. A series of thunderous booms suddenly sounded from the top of the canyon. It was earth-shattering, and it immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the depths of the canyon. Duan Tian was the first to look up at the sky above the canyon. The originally clear blue sky had turned murky at this moment, and within that murkiness, there was a flow of grayish air circulating. The outer circle moved in a clockwise direction. The inner circle revolved counterclockwise. At the same time, the voice of the southern heaven celestial lord echoed again. The celestial lord temple is the last stop. You can try to comprehend the law of time by visualizing the profundity of the law of time that I left behind through the array formation. I've named this canyon the Time Canyon. As long as you sit on the stone platform inside, you'll be able to comprehend the profundities of the laws of time that I've left behind. The higher the stone platform, the higher the chances of comprehending the profundity of the law of time. Of course, this only applies to those with similar comprehension abilities. If your comprehension ability is high enough, you'll be able to comprehend the profundity from the law of time even if you're sitting on a stone platform that isn't too high. However, if your comprehension ability is high enough, the higher the stone platform, the higher the chances of you comprehending the profundity from the law of time. As for the time you can meditate on the profundity, it'll be before the exit of the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm opens. Once the exit to the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm is opened, all of you will be sent out immediately. His voice abruptly stopped here. Profundity of the laws of time? One can meditate on the profundity of the law of time left behind by the southern heaven celestial lord while sitting on the stone platforms? I've heard of people who manage to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, the time elemental profundity, after coming out from the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. Although no one has fully comprehended the time elemental profundity, it's still shocking enough. After all, the law of time is the most mysterious and peculiar law among the four supreme laws. Those people don't remember if they came into contact with the law of time in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. It seems like they came into contact with the law of time in the celestial lord temple. For this reason, they couldn't bring their memories of the celestial lord temple out with them. At this moment, 3 groups of people had gathered in the depths of the canyon. Everyone was shocked when they heard the voice that sounded like the southern heaven celestial lord's voice. The law of time? Ling Juyun's eyes lit up, and he immediately looked at the stone platform at the highest point of the canyon. The stone platform was floating alone in the air, and it looked like a crane in a flock of chickens. It was the best stone platform in the canyon to meditate on the law of time. While Ling Juyun was looking at the stone platform, many people were looking at it as well. Apart from a few people who had comprehended 2 profundities from the same law, the rest of the people were just watching. The law of time. At this moment, Murong Xiao Xiao stopped chatting with Duan Tian. Her eyes were trained on the highest stone platform in the canyon. A hint of anticipation could be seen on her face. However, in just a blink of an eye, she seemed to have recalled something. She quickly shifted her gaze to Duan Lingtian, who was standing in front of her. As the saying goes, ladies first. Duan Lingtian, you won't compete with me for the highest stone platform, right? If it were not for Duan Lingtian, Murong Xiao Xiao would have been determined to obtain the highest stone platform in the canyon. However, with Duan Lingtian around, she felt a lot of pressure. She knew very well that with her strength, it was impossible for her to compete with Duan Lingtian unless Duan Lingtian was willing to give the stone platform to her. Although the chances were slim and she knew her question was rude, she still asked for the sake of the law of time. You're old, shouldn't you give in to a younger person like me? Duan Lingtian retorted when he heard Murong Xiao Xiao's words. Murong Xiao Xiao glared at him angrily. What did he mean by giving in to a younger person? Did this guy not know how to talk? Did he not know it was taboo to joke about a woman's age? Brother Yuan, I didn't expect the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple to give us an opportunity to meditate on the law of time. The young man in green beside the young man in black sighed. Yes, I really didn't expect this. The young man in black nodded. At this moment he was staring at the highest stone platform in the sky above the canyon. It was the best place to meditate on the law of time. Although he was strong and had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of metal, he knew he was not weak at all. However, he was still slightly inferior to Murong Xiao Xiao. Damn it. The young man in black cursed inwardly as he looked at the other 2 stone platforms in the sky above the canyon. These 2 stone platforms were about 100 meters lower than the tallest one and were suspended on the same level. The highest stone platform must belong to that woman, Murong Xiao Xiao. It seems like I can only settle for the next best thing and go to these 2 stone platforms. However, there are 2 stone platforms there. The young man in black murmured to himself. With this thought, the black-clothed young man's gaze landed on the green-clothed young man beside him. He said indifferently, Wang Xian, since you and I are acquaintances, I will guarantee that you will ascend one of the 2 stone platforms on the second highest level. How about it? Earlier, the young man in green, Wang Xian, had quickly shifted his gaze away from the highest stone platform. Although he coveted it, he knew it was not something he could get his hands on. Then he shifted his gaze to the other 2 stone platforms. However, with his strength, it would be difficult for him to occupy one of the 2 stone platforms. After all, he had only comprehended the wind elemental profundity, Although he had comprehended the second profundity from the law of wind, he had only scratched the surface of it. When he heard the young man in black's words, his breathing quickened and his eyes shone brightly. Thank you, Brother Yuan. Thank you, Brother Yuan. In the next moment, Wang Xian hurriedly thanked the black-clothed youth as if one of the 2 stone platforms was already his. Duan Lingtian. Ling Juyun's eyes shone brightly as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Even his tone was a little strange. Don't tell me you want the highest stone platform. I want that stone platform. Before Ling Jueyun could finish speaking, Duan Lingtian looked at him meaningfully. Of course, it's not impossible for you to snatch it from me. Let's fight. The corner of Ling Jueyun's mouth twitched when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Although he did not think Duan Lingtian was stronger than him, he did not think Duan Lingtian was stronger than him. Even if Duan Lingtian had a prominent god weapon and the best god weapon he had was a mediocre god weapon, he was not afraid of Duan Lingtian. After all, with their current strength, whether they used a prominent god weapon or a mediocre god weapon, the strength they could unleash was about the same. However, even if he was not afraid of Duan Lingtian, he could not help but think about Huang who was about to become the artifact soul of Duan Lingtian's prominent god weapon. Huang was originally the artifact soul of his sister's prominent god weapon. She had left the artifact and lived in his sea of consciousness. She had guided him out of the divine offering land and into the Devata realm. If it were not for Huang he would have been killed by his pursuers. Apart from the fact that Huang had saved his life, Huang's identity was enough for him to treat her with respect. When his sister was still alive, he had also treated Huang as his sister. Now that Huang was about to become Duan Lingtian's artifact soul, her life and death were in Duan Lingtian's hands. Naturally, he did not dare to offend Duan Lingtian. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian was unaware of Ling Jueyun's thoughts. Otherwise, he would have been rendered speechless. Was Duan Lingtian that kind of person? What do you think? Do you want to give it a try? Duan Lingtian stared at Ling Jueyun with bright eyes. He was eager to give it a try. It's fine if you don't use a divine artifact. However, if you don't use a divine artifact, you can't use an emperor-grade celestial weapon. At most, we can use a king-grade celestial weapon that has been nurtured by a celestial lord. Ling Jueyun scoffed in response to Duan Ling Tian. Chapter 30-23. This guy. Is he admitting defeat? This doesn't seem like him at all. Duan Ling Tian could not help but mutter to himself when he saw Ling Jueyun snorting coldly before he took to the air and made his way to the stone platforms. Little Feng is worried that you'll vent your anger on me after he defeats you. Huang Er's voice rang in Duan Ling Tian's mind, leaving Duan Ling Tian speechless. This guy thinks of me that way? Duan Ling Tian was speechless when he saw Ling Jueyun's figure disappearing into the distance. After Huang Er's reminder, he finally realized why Duan Ling Tian had fled without a fight. He was worried that Duan Ling Tian would vent his anger on Huang Er after he lost. Originally, the people in the depths of the canyon were still in shock from the law of time. However, when they saw someone taking the lead and making his way to the stone platforms, they immediately made their move. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The group of people, including Shui Jingyu and the others who were standing near Duan Ling Tian, rose into the air and flew toward the stone platforms above the canyon. However, these people knew their own limitations, so none of them chose the highest stone platform. In fact, apart from Ling Jueyun, no one else chose the higher stone platform. Ling Jueyun chose one of the two stone platforms that was second only to the highest stone platform. It was also one of the two stone platforms targeted by the black-clad young man who had been hating Duan Ling Tian since the beginning. Apart from Ling Jueyun, the rest of the people who had ascended the stone platforms had only comprehended one profundity from one of the laws. However, they knew their own limitations and did not dare to compete for the 6 stone platforms at the top. There were 6 stone platforms at the top, 1 at the top, 2 at the bottom 100 meters and 3 at the bottom 100 meters. However, the competition for the stone platforms at the bottom was also in full swing. Although the competition was in full swing, no one attacked. If they felt they were weaker than their opponents, they would withdraw. If they felt they were stronger than their opponents, they would wait for their opponents to withdraw. Everything seemed to be in harmony. Naturally, they were worried they would be sent out of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm if more of them died. Once that happened, they might not even have the time to comprehend the profundities of the law of time left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. As time passed, the upper part of the canyon and the lower part of the canyon soon had their own owners. At this moment, only a few people, including Duan Ling Tian, had yet to make a move. Duan Ling Tian Murong Xiao Xiao Oya. In addition, there was a black-clothed youth, a green-clothed youth, a blue-clothed middle-aged man, a red-clothed middle-aged man, a silver-clothed old man and a gray-clothed old man. Among them, the green-clothed youth followed closely beside the black-clothed youth, while the other 4 formed their own camps. Let's go too. Murong Xiao Xiao no longer wasted her time on Duan Ling Tian after learning about the contents of the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple. She called out to Oya before the two of them flew up into the canyon. Before the contents of the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple were revealed, Murong Xiao Xiao had wanted to befriend Duan Ling Tian in the hopes that Duan Ling Tian would take care of her. At the very least, she would be able to obtain some treasures under his watch. However, after learning about the contents of the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple and the fact that it was impossible for Duan Ling Tian to give up on the highest stone platform, Murong Xiao Xiao decided to give up on pestering Duan Ling Tian. Brat, stay away from Xiao Xiao. Otherwise you won't even know how you died. After Murong Xiao Xiao and Oya rose into the air, the black-clad young man brought the green-clad young man to Duan Ling Tian. He glanced at Duan Ling Tian coldly before he led the green-clad young man to the stone platforms in the sky above the canyon. If the black-clothed youth was not worried that killing Duan Ling Tian would bring them one step closer to being sent out of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, he would have killed Duan Ling Tian a long time ago. Duan Ling Tian merely shook his head slightly in response to the black-clothed youth's provocation. Little brother, you're really lucky. Li Yuan is a vengeful person. I didn't think he would let you go so easily. After the black-clothed youth and the green-clothed youth flew up into the air, the red-clad middle-aged man laughed as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. That's right, little brother. Based on Li Yuan's character, he would have killed you if he wasn't worried about being sent out of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm faster. You're really lucky. Based on the silver-clad old man's words, it was clear he agreed with the red-clad middle-aged man. Based on what you said, it's as though he'll definitely be able to kill me. Duan Ling Tian smiled faintly. As it turned out, the black-clothed youth was Li Yuan. He had heard Shui Jingyu and the others mention Li Yuan before, so he knew that Li Yuan was also a person who had comprehended 2 profundities of the law of metal. He seemed to have comprehended 2 profundities of the law of metal. Apart from that, Li Yuan was also a genius disciple from a grade 8 sect. He was also the most talented disciple in the sect for the past 1,000 years. Generally speaking, those who made it to the Celestial Lord Temple were all geniuses in the profound nether mansion. Little brother, don't be unconvinced. Since we said that, it's only natural that Li Yuan is extraordinary. He has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of metal. The silver-clad old man smiled. How strong is he compared to Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan? Duan Lingtian asked indifferently. He shrugged nonchalantly when he saw the silver-clad old man smile. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the blue-clad middle-aged man and the gray-clad old man who were about to fly up into the air came to a halt. Sima Chun? Dongfang Jinluan? The red-clad middle-aged man was taken aback when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then he looked at the people in the sky and narrowed his eyes slightly. I didn't notice earlier. Where are Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan? With their strength, it shouldn't be difficult for them to come here. Among those who have entered the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, I know they're the only ones who have comprehended 2 profundities from the law. It doesn't make sense for them to be here, the blue-clad middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Don't tell me they're dead? Unless they're dead, they should have been here since they entered the Celestial Lord Temple. The gray-clad old man said. Then, the 3 red-clad middle-aged men exchanged a look with the silver-clad old man. Their eyes were filled with shock when they recalled the purple-clad young man's words. Little brother, why did you suddenly mention Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan? Do you know where they are? The silver-robed old man sucked in a cold breath and asked. Of course I do. Duan Lingtian looked at the silver-clad old man and said indifferently, they're dead? Although the 4 of them had vaguely guessed this would be the outcome, they still felt inexplicably shocked when they heard the confirmation from Duan Lingtian. Sima Chun was a genius from the Sima clan, a grade 7 clan. He had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of wind, the wind elemental profundity and the gale profundity. His strength was comparable to the 4 red-clad middle-aged men. Although the 4 red-clad middle-aged men had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of wind, it was still impossible for them to kill Sima Chun. After all, Sima Chun had comprehended the gale profundity from the law of wind. As for Dongfang Jinluan was a genius from the Dongfang family, a grade 7 clan. He had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of thunder, the thunder elemental profundity and the lightning profundity. Dongfang Jinluan's strength was stronger than Sima Chun and the 4 red-clad middle-aged men. However, these 2 people had actually died. They couldn't have been killed by you, right? The blue-clad middle-aged man asked in a trembling voice as he stared at Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he instinctively swallowed his saliva and asked in a trembling voice. At the same time, the other 3 red-clad middle-aged men looked at Duan Lingtian in unison. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded indifferently when he saw the 4 red-clad middle-aged men looking at him expectantly. Then he kicked the air and flew up into the air. They provoked me one after another. Their strength is only so I killed them with just 1 move. When the 4 red-clad middle-aged men heard Duan Lingtian's words, their eyes widened in shock and disbelief. At this moment, the 4 of them could even hear each other's heavy breathing. After all, the purple-clad young man's words were simply too shocking. If the purple-clad young man had admitted to killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan, they would not have lost their composure. However, the problem was, not only did the purple-clad young man admit to killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan, but he even said he had killed them with just 1 move. He must be joking, right? It doesn't seem like he's joking. He killed Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan with just 1 move. Even if he has comprehended 3 profundities from the same law, he might not be able to do it, right? Even if he has a royal-grade celestial weapon, he might not be able to do it, right? The 4 red-clad middle-aged men whispered among themselves. None of them believed Duan Lingtian's words. They felt Duan Lingtian was being too honest. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian's figure blurred as he approached the highest stone platforms in the valley. Xiao, you should be going to that stone platform. Why are you looking at these 2 stone platforms? The black-clad young man Li Yuan and the green-clad young man Wang Xian were standing at the top of the valley. They looked at Murong Xiao who was standing at the same level as them. It was obvious she was not interested in the highest stone platform at all. Don't tell me you're thinking of helping Oya get one of the 2 stone platforms? Realization dawned on Li Yuan as he looked at Oya who was standing next to Murong Xiao. At the same time, Wang Xian's expression changed drastically. Chapter 30-24. Murong Xiao did not reply to Li Yuan's question. However, her next action told Li Yuan the answer. Murong Xiao Zhao's figure flashed like a gust of wind. She landed firmly on one of the two stone platforms that was second only to the tallest one. From then on, the two stone platforms that were second only to the tallest one were occupied. Apart from Murong Xiao Xiao, Ling Jueyun, who was the first to move, also occupied one. Li Yuan was dumbfounded when he saw Murong Xiao Zhao's actions. He did not expect such an outcome. Xiao Xiao, you don't intend to go to the tallest stone platform? When Li Yuan finished speaking, he subconsciously raised his head and looked at the stone platform at a higher point. The stone platform was 100 meters away in the air. There was no one on it at all. As soon as Li Yuan finished speaking, he saw a figure flying toward him. A purple figure rose into the air unhurriedly. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the highest point of the stone platform. When the figure appeared, Li Yuan's expression changed completely. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. It's him. It's him? He's not even 100 years old. How dare he occupy that stone platform? At this moment, Wang Xian, who was next to Li Yuan, also saw the young man in purple on the tallest stone platform. Wasn't that the young man who was so close to Murong Xiao Xiao? Xiao Xiao, you gave that stone platform to him? In the next moment, Li Yuan looked at Murong Xiao Xiao in disbelief. In his opinion, Murong Xiao Xiao was the only one who had the right to go to that stone platform. However, someone else had gone up there. Moreover, Murong Xiao Xiao might have given it to that person. Li Yuan was so angry that his face twitched slightly. However, Murong Xiao Xiao ignored Li Yuan's question. She closed her eyes as the aqua-blue energy surrounded her body. It was as though she was immersed in a blue ocean. Murong Xiao Xiao was beautiful to begin with. Her face looked even more enchanting under the aqua-blue energy. If it was any other time, Li Yuan would have calmed down and admired this scene. However, he was not in the mood at all. Seeing that Murong Xiao Xiao was ignoring him, Li Yuan's twitching face twitched even more. It became somewhat distorted and sinister. Bang! Li Yuan kicked the air. In the next moment he shot toward the tallest stone platform at lightning speed. It was also the stone platform that Duan Lingtian was standing on. This is going to be interesting. That purple-clad young man? Even Murong Xiao took the initiative to talk to him. He's obviously not an ordinary person. Perhaps he's stronger than Murong Xiao? Otherwise, why didn't Murong Xiao Xiao compete with him for the stone platform? That's not necessarily. Maybe Murong Xiao's who is? No matter how I look at it, he's a pretty toy boy. Most importantly, this purple-clad young man doesn't seem to be 100 years old. Heavens. He wasn't even 100 years old, so how did he end up here? His innate talent is too monstrous. I'm not even 100 years old. I haven't even become an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, let alone comprehending a profundity. Where did this purple-clad young man come from? How is he so monstrous? No matter how monstrous he is, he's not even 100 years old. There's no way he's a match for Li Yuan. That might not be the case. After all, even Murong Xiao Xiao had to take the initiative to befriend him. Moreover, she wouldn't bring out her memories of the Celestial Lord Temple. It's only possible that Murong Xiao Xiao is willing to take care of him after they leave the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. That's not necessarily true. Perhaps he has a powerful background. Perhaps he's related to the Murong clan. That's why Murong Xiao Xiao is willing to take care of him. When the others saw Li Yuan flying toward Duan Lingtian, who was sitting on the highest stone platform, they turned to look at Duan Lingtian. He's going to the highest stone platform? Meanwhile, the four people who had just recovered from the shock of witnessing Duan Lingtian killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan with a single move also noticed Duan Lingtian's movements. It seems like Murong Xiao Xiao has no intention of competing with him. Earlier, Murong Xiao Xiao had interacted with him, so she must be aware of his strength. It seems like Murong Xiao Xiao is trying to befriend him because he's stronger than her. Oya came here with him. Moreover, Murong Xiao Xiao and Oya are best friends. Oya must have told Murong Xiao Xiao about what she saw. I agree. Oya must have witnessed the purple-clad young man killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan with her own eyes. However, I still find it hard to believe that he's capable of killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan with a single move. It's obviously Yuan intends to compete with Duan Lingtian for the highest stone platform. We'll soon find out if he's strong enough to kill Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan. Li Yuan is even stronger than Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan. Apart from comprehending the fire elemental profundity, he has also comprehended the explosion profundity. The explosion profundity is the strongest offensive profundity in the law of fire. With this profundity, Li Yuan's strength is more than enough to defeat Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan. The four of them discussed among themselves. It was clear they were very familiar with Li Yuan's strength. However, Murong Xiao is the only one who can counter Li Yuan. Not only has she comprehended the law of water, but her attainment in the law of water is even higher than Li Yuan's attainment in the law of fire. I'm really curious. Is this purple-clad young man really strong enough to kill Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan like he said? Their gazes followed Li Yuan all the way until Li Yuan reached the highest stone platform in the abyss. He stood in the void beside the stone platform. Get lost, brat. Li Yuan stood in the air and stared coldly at Duanling Tian, who was sitting cross-legged on the stone platform, as he scolded sternly. Duanling Tian had noticed Li Yuan's presence when he arrived at the stone platform. His face darkened when he heard Li Yuan's reprimand. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight right now. Otherwise, you can stay in the Celestial Lord Temple and the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm forever. Duanling Tian glanced at Li Yuan coldly. His voice was icy cold, giving off a feeling as though he was in a world of ice and snow. Whoosh! Duanling Tian's voice was not soft. His words were clearly heard by everyone in the gorge. Most of them burst into an uproar. Naturally, there were also some who were not surprised by Li Yuan's words. For example, Shui Jingyu, Oya, and the others who were on Duanling Tian's side had witnessed Duanling Tian killing Dongfang Jinluan with a single strike. Naturally, they did not doubt Li Yuan's strength. Perhaps, Li Yuan was slightly stronger than Dongfang Jinluan, but not by much. In fact, if Li Yuan fought Dongfang Jinluan, he might not be able to defeat Dongfang Jinluan even if he had the upper hand. Sometimes, even if one's strength was similar, it did not mean one would win. When Wang Xian heard Duanling Tian's words, he instinctively thought Duanling Tian was seeking death. He was standing near the stone platform on the second level. However, when he glanced at Oya, who was standing nearby, he discovered she was calm. It was as though she was not affected by the purple-clad young man's words at all. It was as though it was only natural for her to do so. Could it be? When Wang Xian recalled how Murong Xiao and Oya had expressed their goodwill to Duanling Tian not long after they had reunited, a thought that made him break out in cold sweat appeared in his mind. Could it be? Could it be that Duanling Tian is stronger than Oya and Murong Xiao? Could it be that Murong Xiao is trying to curry favor with Duanling Tian in the hopes that he'll let her have a share of the benefits in the future? I remember. After the voice left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord introduced the Time Canyon, Murong Xiao stopped trying to curry favor with Duanling Tian like a plaster. Perhaps her change of heart is due to the fact that this is the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple. Even if she tries to curry favor with Duanling Tian, it's useless. When Wang Xian thought about this, he was even more certain his guess was correct. He could not help but gasp. After taking a deep breath, Wang Xian instinctively wanted to remind Li Yuan of this. However, just as he was about to send a voice transmission to Duanling Tian, Li Yuan, who was hovering in the air near the only stone platform on the first level, suddenly charged toward Duanling Tian with flames blazing all over his body. Swoosh, swoosh. The burning man swept across the sky as though a huge fire was burning the sky. The air seemed to be scorched and a faint burnt smell could be smelled. Idiot! The voice came from one of the two stone platforms on the second level. It was Ling Juyun. He looked up at the sky and said calmly, "That's right, young Master Xiao." Naturally, he was referring to Li Yuan. In Li Yuan's opinion, apart from him, anyone who dared to attack Duanling Tian would be seeking death. Duanling Tian, who possessed a divine weapon, was like a peerless god of death in the Celestial Lord Temple. He could kill anyone he wanted. Ling Juyun's words caught Murong Xiao's attention. She looked at him curiously. He's not even 100 years old? At the same time, she discovered the gray-clad young man was not even 100 years old, just like Duanling Tian. He seems to have come to the Time Canyon with Duanling Tian and sister Oya. Murong Xiao's memory was not bad. As soon as Murong Xiao thought about this, swoosh. Chapter 30-25. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Li Yuan, who had transformed into a flaming man, was cleaved into two before he could even get close to the purple figure on the highest stone platform. Swoosh. During this process, there was only a short-lived sword whistle in their ears, and a flash of seven-colored sword light appeared in their eyes. After Li Yuan was cleaved into two, the fire continued to burn. In just a blink of an eye, the two halves of Li Yuan's body were reduced to ashes. Only a sumaru ring, a long spear, a set of dark golden armor, and the accumulative point jade badge remained. They appeared in mid-air and fell from the sky. You can have his points. Duan Ling Tian said to Ling Ju-yun through voice transmission. Then he raised his hand and an invisible energy swept out. Before Li Yuan's accumulative point jade shattered, he flicked his finger and threw it out. The distance between Ling Ju-yun's jade token and Li Yuan's jade token was more than 100 meters away from Ling Ju-yun. Although Ling Jueyun and Murong Xiao were on the same stone platform, Ling Jueyun's stone platform was closer to Duan Lingtian's stone platform. Bang! After Li Yuan's accumulative points jade exploded, Duan Lingtian raised his hand and retrieved his accumulative points jade. He nodded in satisfaction when he saw there were no more points in his accumulative points jade. Previously, Duan Lingtian had killed 2 people who had comprehended 2 profundities from a law and obtained a large number of points. If he obtained Li Yuan's points, even if the people in the Celestial Lord Temple did not remember he was the one who killed Li Yuan, there would still be people who would suspect he was the one who killed Li Yuan based on the points he had accumulated. Apart from that, there would also be people who would suspect he was the one who killed Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan. Although Duan Lingtian would join one of the 3 sects and 2 clans after he left the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, it would be impossible for anyone to kill him even if they suspected him. However, what would happen after he joined one of the 3 sects and 2 clans? That power couldn't possibly send powerhouses to protect him all day long, right? Although he still had a consumable royal-grade celestial weapon that could be used twice, he did not want to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. Therefore he gave Li Yuan's points to Ling Jueyun. This way he and Ling Jueyun's points would be more balanced. You're trying to push me into a fire pit. Ling Jueyun gritted his teeth and said to Duan Lingtian when he realized that a large number of points had appeared in his jade token out of nowhere. Don't worry. When the time comes, they might not only suspect the 2 of us, but they will also suspect other people with high points. Duan Lingtian said through voice transmission. Whoosh. Duan Lingtian raised his hand again, and another wave of invisible energy swept out from his hand and collected the spatial ring, the spear, and the armor that continued to fall from the sky. I thought I'd only be able to obtain profundities from the law of time in the Time Canyon. I didn't expect someone to give me a king-grade celestial weapon and a spatial ring. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said in a clear voice, although I don't lack king-grade celestial weapons, since someone gave them to me, I can't possibly refuse. Due to the dead silence in the Time Canyon, Duan Lingtian's casual words were clearly heard by everyone present on the scene. Everyone was originally immersed in the shock earlier. Now that they regained their senses because of Duan Lingtian's words, they were naturally speechless. You don't lack king-grade celestial weapons? You can give them to me if you don't lack king-grade celestial weapons. Naturally they did not dare to voice their thoughts out loud. Who knew if they would offend Duan Lingtian if they said so? Everyone, I'm sorry. I've killed another person. This also means that the amount of time we can stay here has decreased by a bit. Duan Lingtian looked at the people below the stone platform and said in a clear voice, I hope everyone can quietly comprehend the profundities from the law of time left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. Alright, I'll meditate first. Don't disturb me if there's anything. It won't be easy for me to meditate again if I wake up. Duan Lingtian continued to speak. When he reached the end of his sentence, there was no lack of threat in his tone, causing everyone present to shudder involuntarily. They did not doubt Duan Lingtian's words at all. If anyone dared to provoke Duan Lingtian again, they would definitely end up like Li Yuan. I hope no one will disturb me again. After all, it takes time to comprehend the profundities from the law of time left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself before he closed his eyes again. He left a portion of his divine consciousness to observe his surroundings while the rest of his energy was scattered around his body. This is the law of time? After entering the meditative state, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel waves of mysterious energy pulsating around his body. For example, the airflow to his right was sometimes rapid and sometimes slow. There was even a moment when it completely stopped. It was as though time had stopped. The law of time was known as the most mysterious and peculiar law among the 4 great laws. It was also the most profound law in heaven and earth. Such a law could not be comprehended through celestial methods and divine abilities. It could only be comprehended through fortuitous encounters and fortuitous encounters. The Emperor-grade celestial weapon, the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, that I used to own, must contain the law of time. This is because the flow of time in the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda is different from the flow of time in the mundane realm. Duan Lingtian thought about the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda and Huolao when he thought about the law of time. He could not help but sigh inwardly. He wondered where Hualao and the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda were. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian had already immersed himself in the law of time's profundity flowing around him. However, it was not peaceful below the stone platform. Many people were vying for the right to own the stone platform. However, at this moment, no one dared to challenge the highest stone platform Duan Lingtian was on. What a terrifying attack. Is the 7-colored sword Qi his emperor-grade celestial weapon? Murong Xiao was stunned for a long time when she witnessed Duan Lingtian killing Li Yuan with just one strike. She only regained her senses after a while. Although she did not doubt Oya's words, hearing about it and seeing it with her own eyes were two completely different things. If I had to face that sword Qi, I would have ended up just like Li Yuan. Murong Xiao broke out in cold sweat when she thought about this. He killed Li Yuan with just one strike? With just one strike of his sword? The 4-peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had comprehended 2 profundities from a law initially doubted Duan Lingtian. However, after witnessing Duan Lingtian killing Li Yuan with just one strike, they realized Duan Lingtian was not lying to them. Their strength is only SOSO. I killed them with just one strike. Duan Lingtian's words rang in their ears. How terrifying. How can he be so strong? His sword Qi seems to contain the earth elemental profundity, It seems like it's because of his sword. That sword seems to be emitting a 7-colored light. I even saw the sword fuse with his body when it returned to his hand. Fuse with his body? Isn't that something only an emperor-grade celestial weapon can do? He has an emperor-grade celestial weapon. One of them recalled how the 7-colored sword ray had entered Duan Lingtian's body after killing Li Yuan. He immediately thought of the emperor-grade celestial weapon that was superior to royal-grade celestial weapons. An emperor-grade celestial weapon. That purple-clad young man has an emperor-grade celestial weapon? Soon after, everyone in the Time Canyon learned that Duan Lingtian had an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Oya, Shui Jingyu, and the others who had witnessed Duan Lingtian killing Dongfang Jinluan with just one strike were not surprised at all. How dare Li Yuan provoke Duan Lingtian? He's seeking death. Just now I wanted to remind him. But on second thought, this Li Yuan's reputation is ordinary, and I don't have a good impression of him, so I gave up on the idea. Me too. The few people who spoke were of average strength. They all chose the lower stone platforms in a low-key manner. Therefore no one challenged them. Sister Oya. He doesn't seem to be even 100 years old. On one of the 2 stone platforms on the 2nd level, Murong Xiao looked at Oya who was about to leave and asked through voice transmission, "Aren't you going to challenge him and snatch his stone platform? With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult for you to snatch his stone platform. If you're not confident, I can help you." Murong Xiao replied through voice transmission. Oya smiled bitterly when she heard Murong Xiao's words. At the same time she said to Murong Xiao through voice transmission, "Sister Murong, I appreciate your kindness, however, I'm no match for him. Even if we join forces we won't be able to defeat him. Instead of wasting our time, I might as well find a stone platform and comprehend the law of time left behind by the southern heaven celestial lord." A hint of bitterness could be heard in Oya's voice when she spoke. Upon hearing Oya's words, Murong Xiao could tell something was amiss. Don't tell me he also has an emperor-grade celestial weapon like Duan Lingtian? Murong Xiao asked casually. She did not think there was a second person with an emperor-grade celestial weapon in this place. After all, emperor-grade celestial weapons were not cabbages that could be found everywhere. He doesn't have an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Oya replied. Then why are you afraid of him? Murong Xiao asked. It's true that he doesn't have an emperor-grade celestial weapon, but I heard from the people who came with me that he has a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon. Moreover, he has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death. Oya's voice was laced with a hint of helplessness. Duan Lingtian, who was not even 100 years old, had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth and possessed an emperor-grade 7-colored light sword. Ling Jueyun, who was not even 100 years old, had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death and possessed a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon. Chapter 30-26. What? Oya's words shocked Murong Xiao. A pure defensive royal-grade celestial weapon? Just like how purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons were rare among king-grade celestial weapons, purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapons were second only to sole defensive royal-grade celestial weapons. The value of a pure defensive royal-grade celestial weapon was comparable to an ordinary emperor-grade celestial weapon. Yes. Oya nodded and left. She went to the third layer of the stone platform to compete for the stone platform. With her strength, it would not be difficult for her to compete for one of the 3 stone platforms on the 3rd floor. However, even if Oya gave up on Ling Jueyun's stone platform, it did not mean the others would give up as well. A moment later, the red-clad young man among the 4 peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had comprehended 2 profundities from a law flew up to Ling Jueyun's stone platform in just a blink of an eye. He did not dare to compete for Murong Xiaoxiao's stone platform. However, he still wanted to compete for the stone platform of this young man whom he had never seen or heard of. This was because when Duan Ling Tian had given Li Yuan's points to Ling Jueyun, he had communicated with Ling Jueyun through voice transmission. Otherwise, even if he was wary of Duan Ling Tian, he would not have dared to compete for Ling Jueyun's stone platform. Although Duan Ling Tian's action of increasing his points was huge and many people had seen it, in their opinion, Duan Ling Tian was merely protecting himself. Duan Ling Tian did not want to be in the limelight by accumulating too many points. It was not difficult to guess that Duan Ling Tian did not want to attract the attention of the people behind Li Yuan, Sima Chun, and Dongfang Jinluan. Li Yuan was from an 8th grade sect, and he was the strongest genius in the sect in the past 1,000 years. Therefore the sect treated him like his life. If they knew who killed Li Yuan, that sect would definitely secretly take revenge. Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan's backgrounds were even more extraordinary. Both of them came from 7th grade clans, and their clans had many more experts than those from 8th grade sections. Once these 2 clans set their sights on someone, even if that person was a genius from the 3 sects and 2 clans, his life would still be in danger. Therefore they could completely understand Duan Ling Tian's actions. As for Ling Jueyun's points, in their opinion, it was just Ling Jueyun's good luck that he was close to Li Yuan's point Jade. Oya, Shui Jingyu, and the others knew about the relationship between Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyun, but at this time, they were either busy challenging the stone platform or comprehending the laws of time that filled the time canyon. They had no time to talk to people who didn't know about this. Yun Zhan. With just a glance, Murong Xiaoxiao recognized the red-clad middle-aged man who wanted to challenge Ling Jueyun. Yun Zhan was a disciple from an 8th grade sect. However, he was not young, and he had suppressed his cultivation base to comprehend profundities. Although Yun Zhan looked like a middle-aged man, he was, in fact, more than 1,000 years old. He had suppressed his cultivation base to the level of a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial just to enter the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. Yun Zhan had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth, and he had lived for more than 1,000 years. Therefore he was quite strong. At the very least, Murong Xiaoxiao did not think she would be able to defeat Yun Zhan when she had just comprehended 2 profundities from the law of water. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight. Otherwise, you'll have to stay in the Celestial Lord Temple and the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm forever. Ling Jueyun said coldly when he saw Yun Zhan staring at him from a distance. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Ling Jueyun glanced at Yun Zhan and said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, he thought to himself, "It feels good to say these words." He had repeated what Duan Ling Tian had said to Li Yuan earlier. Yun Zhan had thought of many possibilities when he heard Ling Jueyun's words. However, he did not expect Ling Jueyun would say the same thing as Duan Ling Tian. When Ling Jueyun spoke, his voice was loud enough to drown out the clamor in the time canyon and reach everyone's ears. Immediately, the figures who were fighting each other shot out and temporarily stopped fighting. They all looked at one of the 2 stone platforms on the 2nd floor. A gray-clad young man could be seen sitting cross-legged on one of the stone platforms with a sheathed sword resting on his knees. It was clear he was a sword celestial. He's not even 100 years old. Soon after, someone discovered the gray-clad young man was not even 100 years old, just like Duan Ling Tian. Didn't he say what Duan Ling Tian said to Li Yuan earlier? Now, he's facing a challenger and he's actually saying the same thing to his challenger? This is my first time seeing such a lazy person. Is it that difficult for him to say something like that? Why is he copying someone else's words? Does he think he's Duan Ling Tian? Or is he delusional? Does he think he has an Emperor-grade celestial weapon like Duan Ling Tian? That's right. Does he think Emperor-grade celestial weapons are like cabbages? Everyone was speechless when they saw Ling Jueyun mimicking Duan Ling Tian's words. However, at the same time, they were eager to see if Ling Jueyun would be able to withstand the challenge from the red-clad middle-aged man. The red-clad middle-aged man is an outer court elder from the Grade 8 sect, the Thousand Autumns sect. His name is Yun Zhan. He's a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial. He has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth. Coupled with his 1,000 years of combat experience, he's quite strong. Many people recognized the middle-aged man in red. This gray-robed youth? I've never seen or heard of him before. Who knows him? At the same time, the crowd discovered that no one knew the gray-clothed young man, nor had they heard of him. Brother, you seem to have come with him in Duan Ling Tian. How strong is he? Is he a match for Yunjian? Someone asked, looking at Xue Jingyu. I don't know. However, Xue Jingyu simply shook his head in the face of other people's questions. He had a blank look on his face as if he knew nothing at all. He knew Ling Jueyun was no weaker than Murong Xiao. Moreover, Ling Jueyun possessed a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon, so it was impossible for Murong Xiao to defeat him. However, he did not intend to reveal his thoughts. After all, he hated shameless old men like Yunjian who purposely suppressed their cultivation bases to compete with the juniors in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm for the fortuitous encounters left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. Meanwhile, many people who came with Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyun were questioned as well. However, like Xue Jingyu, none of them knew anything about Ling Jueyun. It seems like the gray-clothed young man who's younger than 100 years old has only comprehended one law. That's impossible. How could he dare to climb up the stone platform if he's so weak? I have a feeling he has comprehended two profundities from a law as well. He's not even 100 years old, but he has comprehended two profundities from a law? Do you really think Duan Ling Tian is as weak as a cabbage? Perhaps he's trying to use Duan Ling Tian's fame to make people think he's as strong as Duan Ling Tian. That's possible. In the end, everyone agreed that Yunjian would snatch the stone platform that Ling Jueyun was sitting on. Moreover, based on what Xue Jingyu had said to Duan Ling Tian, it was highly likely Yunjian would not show him any mercy. That was indeed the case. Upon hearing Ling Jueyun's words, Yunjian felt like he was being looked down upon and humiliated. His eyes widened and his face turned even redder. At the same time, his celestial origin energy that had been boosted with the earth elemental profundity began to vibrate around his body. Sand and pebbles could be seen flying around him. Yunjian and Duan Ling Tian had comprehended the same law, but unlike Duan Ling Tian, Yunjian had comprehended two profundities from the law of earth. On the other hand, Duan Ling Tian was mistaken for having comprehended two profundities from the law of earth. In fact, he had only comprehended one profundity. Boom. Rumble. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the yellow energy around Yunjian's body vibrated even more. Sand and pebbles began to gather around him. In the end, Yunjian was completely shrouded in the energy. Sand and pebbles flew all over the sky, shaking the void, causing countless ripples to appear in the void. They then spread out together as if forming a dazzling picture. The law of Earth's vibration profundity? On the stone platform, Ling Jueyun raised an eyebrow when he saw Yunjian accumulating his energy. Then he slowly raised his hand. Everyone thought he was going to draw his sword from the scabbard on his lap. However, he raised his hand, clearly not intending to draw his sword. What's he trying to do? Murong Xiao, who was standing closest to Ling Jueyun, frowned slightly. She did not know what Ling Jueyun was trying to do. In the next moment, a black vortex appeared in Ling Jueyun's hand. Then the tip of a sword appeared in the black vortex. Murong Xiao's expression changed drastically. An emperor-grade celestial weapon? Murong Xiao's eyes widened as her heart trembled violently. Just like how only emperor-grade celestial weapons could be stored in one's body, only emperor-grade celestial weapons could be retrieved from one's body. In the next moment, under everyone's watchful eyes, a 3-foot-long sword that was shrouded in gray lightning appeared in Ling Jueyun's hand. An emperor-grade celestial weapon? Another emperor-grade celestial weapon? Oh, how's this possible? Since when did emperor-grade celestial weapons become so common? Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyun both have emperor-grade celestial weapons. Everyone, including Xue Jingyu and the others, was stunned when they saw Ling Jueyun retrieving a sword from his body. Moreover, the sword's aura was extraordinary. To them, emperor-grade celestial weapons were legendary existences. However, now that emperor-grade celestial weapons had appeared one after another, they began to doubt the rarity of emperor-grade celestial weapons. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Chapter 30:27. Just a moment ago, Yunjian was still filled with rage, looking as though he was going to kill Ling Jueyun. However, when Yunjian saw Ling Jueyun taking out the 3-foot-long sword that seemed to be an emperor-grade celestial weapon, the battle intent in Yunjian's body was instantly extinguished. It was as though his battle intent had been extinguished by a bucket of water. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Yun Zhan hastily admitted defeat. It was as though he was afraid Ling Jueyun would use the sword that was shrouded in gray lightning against him. Admit defeat? Ling Jueyun glanced at Yun Zhan, who was shrouded by the flying sand and pebbles, before he said indifferently, "Why are you admitting defeat now? What were you waiting for?" As soon as Ling Jueyun finished speaking, a clone of Ling Jueyun appeared out of thin air in front of everyone's eyes. However, this Ling Jueyun had a pair of blood-red eyes, and the aura he emitted was strange as well. That's a clone? Many of the people present could see that Ling Jueyun had used the doppelganger technique. Humph! That's the undead clone profundity that Ling Jueyun has comprehended. Ling Jueyun has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death. However, I didn't expect him to have an emperor-grade celestial weapon as well. Moreover, it's also a celestial sword. Xue Jingyu's tone was filled with emotion as he spoke. He was already shocked when he saw Duan Lingtian taking out an emperor-grade celestial sword. However, Ling Jueyun had also taken out an emperor-grade celestial sword. He could not help but wonder if there was really an emperor-grade celestial weapon in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he quickly dismissed it. He knew it was impossible. The law of death? Profound of undead doppelganger? This gray-clothed young man named Ling Jueyun has comprehended the law of death? Moreover, he even comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death? With the strength of the law of death and the fact that he has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death, even if he doesn't use an emperor-grade celestial weapon, he's not any weaker than Yun Zhan. Now that he has taken out his emperor-grade celestial weapon, there's no doubt about the outcome of this battle. Aren't you spouting nonsense? Didn't you see Yun Zhan admitting defeat in fear? Now he's just short of kneeling before Ling Jueyun. This Yun Zhan probably never even dreamed that he would kick such an iron plate. Hearing Xue Jingyu's words, the crowd exclaimed in surprise. At the same time, they felt that Yun Zhan was extremely unlucky to have provoked a monster like Ling Jueyun. Whoosh! Along with the sound of air being torn apart and the sound of air exploding rang out. It was Ling Jueyun's undead avatar wielding an emperor-grade celestial sword that was aimed at Yun Zhan, who was shrouded in flying sand. Swoosh! 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 When Ling Jueyun's undead avatar was still a distance away from Yun Zhan, he swung the sword in his hand. In just an instant, gray sword rays appeared around Yun Zhan and swept toward him from all directions like a net of swords. Bang! A loud noise rang in the air. Yun Zhan was trying to break free from the net of swords with the help of the flying sand and rocks. However, the net of swords shook a few times, but it did not show any signs of breaking free. Yun Zhan's expression changed drastically. Bang! 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 A series of loud noises spread out, like the deafening sound of a drum. Before Ling Jueyun's undead avatar could get close to Yun Zhan had taken out his king-grade celestial weapon in an attempt to break free from the net of swords. However, no matter how hard he tried, the net of swords only shook a few times before it returned to normal. An expression of despair could be seen on his face. Spare me. Spare me. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to give you everything I have. Spare me. Just as Ling Jueyun's undead clone was about to slash at Yun Zhan's anxious and humble voice resounded through the entire time canyon. Senior brother Ling Jueyun, please accept my offer. At this moment, everyone felt despair from Yun Zhan's anxious and humble words, and they all felt a sense of sympathy for him. If they were in Yun Zhan's position, the outcome would not be any different. No. All of this came to an end when Yun Zhan let out an extremely shrill scream. The time canyon regained its calm once more. However, at this moment the way everyone looked at Ling Jueyun was completely different. In their eyes, Ling Jueyun was no longer inferior to Duan Lingtian. After all, Ling Jueyun had comprehended the law of death while Duan Lingtian had comprehended the law of earth. For this reason they were even more afraid of Ling Jueyun. With Ling Jueyun's strength and the emperor-grade celestial sword in his hand, he's definitely a match for Duan Lingtian. However, based on the way he sat there, it seems like he had planned to let Duan Lingtian have the highest stone platform since the beginning. Soon after, some people voiced their doubts. Isn't it obvious? One of the more observant people chimed in. Didn't you see how Ling Jueyun and Duan Lingtian came here together? Perhaps they've known each other for a long time. Both of them are peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials under the age of 100. Moreover, both of them possess emperor-grade celestial weapons. It's very likely that they came from the same place. How could a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial be given an emperor-grade celestial weapon? Why would someone from that place be interested in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm? I don't think they're interested in the upper realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, right? I don't know. However, I have a feeling that it's not a coincidence that both of them appeared in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm at the same time. Even Shui Jingyu and the others who were in the same place as Duan Ling Tian during the first trial in the Celestial Lord Temple could not help but feel skeptical. Could it be that Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyun were really related? I remember that after the first trial in the Celestial Lord Temple, Ling Jueyun asked Duan Ling Tian to avoid us. Shui Jingyu could not help but frown when he thought about this. He felt that Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyun might not have known each other before this. Otherwise, why would they be so secretive? Why would they not have spoken to each other through voice transmission? After thinking about it for a long time, Shui Jingyu still could not figure it out. In the end, he decided to give up. Forget it. It's none of my business whether they're related or not. I should focus on comprehending the profundity from the law of time in the time canyon. After a while, he sat cross-legged on a stone platform and began to comprehend the law of time. With your strength, you're definitely capable of competing with Duan Ling Tian for that stone platform. Murong Xiao looked at Ling Jueyun, who was standing at the same level as her. A hint of shock could be seen in the depths of her eyes. Although Murong Xiao had learned from Oya that Ling Jueyun was not a simple person before he made his move, she had only thought his defense was extraordinary. She did not expect Ling Jueyun to not only have a terrifying defense, but his attack was also very powerful. In fact, his attack was even more terrifying than his defense. After all, he relied on his royal-grade celestial weapon for defense while he relied on his emperor-grade celestial weapon for offense. What does it have to do with you? Upon hearing Murong Xiao's question, Ling Jueyun glanced at her indifferently before he closed his eyes and began to comprehend the law of time in the time canyon. Murong Xiao's words invisibly pierced his soft spot. In truth, he was not afraid of Duan Ling Tian at all. However, since his sister Huang had already acknowledged Duan Ling Tian as her master, her life and death were in Duan Ling Tian's hands. For this reason, he had no choice but to submit to Duan Ling Tian's tyranny to prevent Duan Ling Tian from venting his anger on his sister Huang. You? Murong Xiao's expression changed drastically when she saw that Ling Jueyun was as rude to her as Duan Ling Tian was. He was unlike the men who surrounded her like stars surrounding the moon. Now she even began to wonder if her charm had weakened. However, what she did not know was that Ling Jueyun had an extraordinary background. He had met many women who were more beautiful than her. Even Huang, who had become the soul of Duan Ling Tian's divine sword, was far more beautiful than her. Gasp, 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 gasp. After a long time, Murong Xiao finally calmed down. At the same time, she did not waste any more time and began to meditate and comprehend the profundities of the law of time. Meanwhile, the others had also recovered from the shock of seeing Ling Jueyun and continued to compete for the stone platforms. After a day and a night, the time canyon finally calmed down. Everyone had their own stone platform. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian sat on the highest stone platform in the time canyon, meditating and comprehending the law of time. Although he seemed calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. The law of time is mysterious and strange. Can be fast, slow, and even stop. The element contained in the law of time should be the time elemental profundity, the time elemental profundity. Duan Ling Tian was the first to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, the time elemental profundity, since he was the first to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity. Generally, those who came into contact with the law of time's fundamental profundity would have a high chance of comprehending the time elemental profundity. Time is passing with every passing moment. Generally speaking, no one can avoid time completely. Naturally, if one has an emperor-grade celestial weapon like the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, one can avoid time to a certain extent. However, it's impossible to reverse or stop time. Time, 100 years in a single thought, 1,000 years in a single thought. One thought, one cycle. Chapter 30:28. Although Ling Jueyun had caused a huge commotion earlier, Duan Ling Tian did not pay attention to it at all. In fact, Duan Ling Tian did not know about it at all. Currently, other than leaving a wisp of divine consciousness to protect himself so that he could wake up immediately when he was in danger, the rest of his attention was completely focused on visualizing and comprehending the law of time. Currently, there were more than 40 people, including Duan Ling Tian, who were comprehending the law of time and comprehending profundities in the time canyon. They could be considered the strongest group of people who had entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. As for the others, they were wandering around the Celestial Lord Temple, waiting for the entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm to open again. After all, they could be killed at any time during the entrance to the upper realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I wonder how Brother Duan and Jia Chao are doing? At this moment, a figure was standing on a pool of boiling lava at the foot of a volcano that was still erupting. The figure belonged to a handsome young man who was holding a 7-foot-long spear in his hand. Based on his expression, it was obvious he was exhausted. If Duan Ling Tian was here, he would be able to tell the person was none other than Huang Jialong with just a glance. Huang Jialong was the only friend he had made since he left the borderlands and came to the central area. Based on Huang Jialong's tattered robe, it was clear he had just fought a fierce battle. Based on his current appearance, it was clear he had won the battle. I finally have more than 10 points. Huang Jialong looked at the accumulative point jade in his hand. A bright smile appeared on his face when he saw he had accumulated 11 points. Although Huang Jialong had accumulated more than 10 points, he was still not summoned by the Celestial Lord Temple. It was obvious his speed of accumulating points had exceeded the Celestial Lord Temple's requirement. At this moment, apart from Huang Jialong, many people outside the Celestial Lord Temple had also accumulated more than 10 points. Meanwhile, the people outside the Celestial Lord Temple were still fighting ferociously. Little did they know, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, in a place called the Celestial Lord Temple, a group of people had obtained a great fortuitous encounter. The great opportunity was to comprehend the profundities of the law of time that the South Heaven Immortal Dominator had left behind. That being said, not everyone in the Celestial Lord Temple was comprehending the profundities of the law of time that the Southern Heaven Celestial Emperor had left behind. A small number of people were staying in a small room in the Celestial Lord Palace, not daring to go out at all. Surprisingly, Huang Jiachao was one of them. The reason why these people didn't dare to leave the small room was because their strength was average. The reason why they could enter the Immortal Lord Palace was because someone cheated and brought them in. Just like Huang Jiachao. The reason why Huang Jiachao was able to obtain more than 10 points was entirely because of Duan Lingtian's help. He didn't rely on his own strength to obtain them. In the Immortal Lord Palace, this would be considered as cheating. I wonder how Brother Duan is doing. He must have left the room I'm in and gone to the Celestial Lord Palace to explore. Huang Jiachao thought, with his strength, it shouldn't be difficult for him to survive. Huang Jiachao heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, Huang Jiachao was unaware that Duan Lingtian was still alive. Currently, Duan Lingtian was living a better life than anyone else in the Celestial Lord Palace. In the sky above the central area of the Scaling Cloud Lake where the entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm was located. Yong! A sorrowful cry rang in the air, attracting the attention of a few people. However, most of them were already numb to such a cry. After all, it was common for people to die in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Those who died were from all sorts of backgrounds. Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, was looking at the scoreboard as though he was trying his best to find his son, Hu Jiyong's name. However, no matter how hard he searched, he could not find Hu Jiyong's name. It was clear Hu Jiyong had died in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Hu Lin-Yi was still mourning the death of his most outstanding son when an exclamation suddenly rang in the air, attracting everyone's attention. There's a new person in the first place. When this exclamation spread out, it immediately caused the gazes of the group of people present to uniformly fall on the scoreboard. Even Hu Lin-Yi, who was grieving over Hu Jiyong's death, instinctively shifted his gaze to the scoreboard. Ling Jueyun? Hu Lin-Yi's heart skipped a beat when he saw Murong Xiao Zhao's name was replaced by Ling Jueyun. Then he instinctively shifted his gaze to the second place on the scoreboard. Duan Lingtian's name was originally second place. However, Ling Jueyun had risen from third place to first place. With this, Duan Lingtian, who was originally second place, was now third place. Hu Lin-Yi's expression turned even more unsightly when he saw this. Just a moment ago his son had died. Now that Duan Lingtian's name had fallen from second place to third place, it was no different from adding insult to injury. However, just as Hu Lin-Yi's heart sank and he was about to look away from the scoreboard, he was shocked to see that the names of the second and third places on the scoreboard had swapped. Duan Lingtian had returned to second place while Murong Xiao Xiao had fallen from second place to third place. How's this possible? Apart from the overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, there were two other elders from the Murong clan. Their expressions darkened when they saw Murong Xiao Xiao had fallen from first place to third place in just a blink of an eye. It's been a long time since the top 3 rankings have been changed. I didn't expect Murong Xiao Xiao to go from first place to third place. Ling Jueyun and Duan Ling Tian seem to be sectless cultivators from the Thousand Nations territory. Since when are sectless cultivators so strong? These 2 sectless cultivators are extraordinary. In the past, no sectless cultivators have managed to reach this stage. That's right. No sectless cultivators have managed to reach this stage. However, 2 sectless cultivators managed to climb to the top of the scoreboard this time. Due to Murong Xiao Xiao's fall from first place to third place, the sky above the center of the scaling cloud lake was in an uproar for a long time. About half a month later, the void above the center of the scaling cloud lake rippled as a huge door appeared out of thin air. It was identical to the door that had appeared when the entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm opened. They're coming out. The entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm has appeared. It seems like only 30% of the people who entered the lower realm are still alive. The opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm this time is more tragic than any of the previous times. Upon seeing the huge door, the people hovering above the center of the scaling cloud lake realized that the people from the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm were about to come out. For people who had comprehended 2 profundities from Allah have died during the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. This has never happened before. Sima Chun, Dongfang Jin Luan, Li Yuan, and Yun Zhan were famous peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials in the profound Nether Mansions territory. I didn't expect them to die in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I wonder who killed them. Ling Jueyun? Duan Ling Tian? Murong Xiao Xiao? Or did someone join forces with them? I don't know. Among the top 3, Ling Jueyun and Duan Ling Tian's points are about the same. Although Murong Xiao Xiao's points are slightly lower, it's only a little more than 10 points. It's not a big difference. There's not much of a difference between the top 4 and the bottom 4. It's hard to tell who killed Sima Chun and the others. Sima Chun, Dongfang Jin Luan, Li Yuan, and Yun Zhan were the most eye-catching people who had died during the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. These 4 people, Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan, were prodigies from their grade 7 clans. Li Yuan was the strongest prodigy in a grade 8 sect in the past 1,000 years. As for Yun Zhan, he was an elder of a grade 8 sect. He had purposely suppressed his cultivation base for the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Apart from that, all 4 of them had comprehended 2 profundities from Allah, and they were extremely powerful. Generally speaking, with the strength of the 4 of them, killing their way into the top 10 of the rankings was as simple as drinking water and eating. However, not only did they fail to rank in the top 10, but they were not even listed on the scoreboard since all of them had died. Perhaps someone joined forces to kill them. Or perhaps, there's a fortuitous encounter in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm that's difficult to obtain. Perhaps they died and their points were taken away by someone who was lucky enough to be close to them. Those are 2 possibilities. Many people were still discussing the deaths of Sima Chun, Dongfang Jin Luan, Li Yuan, and Yun Zhan. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. At this moment, several figures seemed to have appeared out of thin air in front of a large door. At the same time, those with high cultivation could clearly sense that there was an extremely powerful force that was sending these people out. Where's this? How did I get out? Wasn't I in the snowy mountain? What's going on? Why am I out of the door? Is it over? Why do I feel like I've forgotten something? What's going on? The group of people who were pushed out of the door looked around as though they had lost their memories. They did not even know how they got out of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. The people who were sent out were those who had entered the Celestial Lord Temple in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Jiao Chao? Chapter 30-29. Duan Ling Tian was slightly taken aback by his sudden appearance in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. He remembered he had encountered Sima Chun, a member of the Grade 7 Sima clan, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. After killing Sima Chun, he had more than 10 points in his accumulative point jade. His memory was frozen at that moment. Then he discovered he had been sent out of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I remember I had 11 points in my accumulative point jade after killing Sima Chun. Now, with that thought in mind, Duan Ling Tian began to check the points in his accumulative point jade. Alas, he was dumbfounded when he looked at his accumulative point jade. This. Duan Ling Tian discovered the points in his accumulative point jade had increased to 286 points. 286 points, what kind of concept was that? This meant he had obtained 285 points from other people since he only had 1 point when he entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. These 285 points? I even know where 10 of them came from. But where did the other 275 points come from? No matter how hard Duan Lingtian thought about it, he could not figure out where the points came from. Is there something wrong with my accumulative point jade? Duan Lingtian was still thinking about this when he heard a series of exclamations in his ears. Why do I have so many points? If I remember correctly, I only have 12 points. I remember I only had 11 points, but now I have 23 points. I don't think I have any more or less points, but I feel like I've forgotten something. Me too. Among the group of people around Duan Lingtian, many of them were surprised by the number of points they had. Most of them felt as though they had lost their memories. I feel like I've lost a part of my memory as well, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Swoosh. At this moment, a gray figure in the distance looked left and right for a while, and his face suddenly changed. This was a young man in gray clothes, and if Duan Lingtian saw him, he would definitely be able to recognize him. The gray-clad young man was none other than Ling Jueyun, the genius sectless cultivator from the East Ming nation. He's Ling Jueyun? He's Ling Jueyun, the genius sectless cultivator who ranked first in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm? He's really not even 100 years old. He's not even 100 years old, but he's ranked first. Is he strong? Or is he just lucky? Regardless, he's the biggest winner in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm this time. Everyone's attention was focused on Ling Jueyun's Ling Jueyun's group. At this moment, a group of people who had just exited the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm looked at the scoreboard and saw Ling Jueyun was ranked first. However, Ling Jueyun turned a deaf ear to everyone's words. His face was pale as he muttered to himself, "Where's Sister Huang-er? Where's Sister Huang-er? Did something happen to Sister Huang-er in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm?" Ling Jueyun's expression darkened when he thought about this. Moreover, I feel like I've lost a part of my memory. I can't remember it at all. Ling Jueyun looked at his accumulative point jade and discovered there were 298 points in it. Where did I get these points from? I only remember that I got 14 points. I don't seem to remember anything after that. A hint of confusion could be seen in Ling Jueyun's eyes when he realized he could not remember where he obtained so many points. Duan Lingtian and the others were still in a state of panic when Jiangsun Xiongqi, the elder of the Jiangsun clan, said, "Calm down. There's no need to panic. In the history of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, there are many people who have encountered similar situations. It's all due to a fortuitous encounter in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Most of those who encountered the fortuitous encounter would not remember anything about it. However, after they exited the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, they would discover their points and their spatial rings. Apart from that, there are also some people who manage to comprehend the law of time through the fortuitous encounter." When Jiangsun Xiongqi finished speaking, the eyes of the people who had just exited the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, including Duan Lingtian, lit up. The law of time? The law of time was the most mysterious and peculiar law among the 4 great laws of heaven and earth. It would be great news if one could comprehend the law of time. The law of time. Upon hearing Jiangsun Xiongqi's words, a series of memories suddenly appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. And these memory fragments all revolved around time. Time deceleration, time acceleration, and time stoppage. This is the law of time? Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, a childish voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind. "Boy, there's a formation in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm that can erase certain memories. Now, let me tell you what the memory you lost is." The owner of the voice was none other than the Chaos Divine Earth. "Tell little Feng that I'm fine as well. He's also lost his memories. He'll be worried when he realizes I'm no longer in his sea of consciousness." At this moment, a woman's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind. "Who are you?" He was fine when he heard the Chaos Divine Earth's voice. After all, he knew that the Chaos Divine Earth was in his body. However, when he heard the woman's voice in his mind, his expression changed drastically. When did this person appear in his sea of consciousness? The spiritual sea was where his soul was located. Normally, the profound divine metal would protect his spiritual sea, so nothing could enter his spiritual sea. But now, a voice had suddenly appeared in his spiritual sea. Moreover, it also meant a life. How could he not be shocked and anxious? "Boy, don't panic. You'll know who she is once I'm done explaining. You little girl, don't panic. Once this boy learns about what happened, he'll help you warn Ling Jueyun, the Chaos Divine Earth said. Upon hearing the Chaos Divine Earth's voice, Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief. The woman's voice in Duan Lingtian's sea of consciousness did not speak again. It was clear she was obedient to the Chaos Divine Earth. Boy, after you killed Sima Chun from the 7th grade Sima clan, you accumulated 11 points in your accumulative points Jade token, the Chaos Divine Earth said. At that time, you heard a voice left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. You learned about the location of the Celestial Lord Temple and made your way to the Celestial Lord Temple. During this process you met that kid called Huang Jiachao. At that time he was on the verge of death and it was you who saved him. After listening to the Chaos Divine Earth's explanation, Duan Ling Tian finally found out what he was missing from his memory. At the same time he also found out why he had so many points. As it turns out, after killing Sima Chun, I also killed Dongfang Jinluan and Li Yuan. Similar to Sima Chun, both of them had comprehended 2 profundities from a law. As for Ling Jueyun, he's from the Divine Offering Land. Huang used to be the soul of a prominent Devata artifact before she decided to serve me as the soul of the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. Apart from that, I promised her that I'll avenge her original master as long as I'm capable of doing so. Of course, that's only if that person deserves to die. After listening to the Chaos Divine Earth's explanation, Duan Lingtian finally regained his lost memories. However, he did not find them familiar at all. After all, although the memories were originally his, they had been erased by the formation in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. For this reason he still found the memories to be unfamiliar. Nevertheless, he did not doubt the Chaos Divine Earth's words since it was the Chaos Divine Earth who told him the truth. Moreover, based on what the Chaos Divine Earth had told him, Duan Ling Tian took a look at his spatial ring and discovered that the items he had obtained from the Chaos Divine Earth matched what it had told him. Does this mean that I obtained the best opportunity to comprehend the profundities of the laws of time in the Time Canyon? Jia Chao only managed to come out with us because I cheated and helped him enter the Celestial Lord Temple. He only managed to come out alive because he didn't leave the small room in the Celestial Lord Temple. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian looked at Huang Jiachao again and saw Huang Jiachao walking toward him. Brother Duan, I remember that you were the one who saved me at that time. However, after you saved me and communicated with me, my memory seems to have completely disappeared. Huang Jiachao asked with a confused expression on his face, do you remember what happened after that? Duan Lingtian shook his head. Although he knew what happened after that, he did not intend to tell Huang Jiachao about it. After all, the fewer people who knew about it, the better. Ling Jueyun. Duan Lingtian turned to look at Ling Jueyun who had an unsightly expression on his face. It was obvious Ling Jueyun was not happy about being ranked first. Instead he seemed to be troubled. He must have discovered Huang Er's disappearance. I didn't expect this brat to be from the Divine Offering Land and possess an Emperor-grade celestial weapon and a divine weapon. Chapter 30. Duan Lingtian finally understood why the voice in his mind had asked him to contact Ling Jueyun and tell him that she was fine. Ling Jueyun. Duan Lingtian immediately contacted Ling Jueyun through voice transmission. When Ling Jueyun looked at him with a confused expression on his face, Duan Lingtian began to tell him everything that had happened after they met. He began to recount how Huang Er had left Ling Jueyun's mind after the first test in the Celestial Lord Temple ended. Duan Lingtian also told Ling Jueyun everything that had happened after that. In order to convince Ling Jueyun, Duan Lingtian also mentioned the purely defensive Emperor-grade celestial weapon that Ling Jueyun had used in the Celestial Lord Temple in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm and the divine weapon that he had used in the Time Canyon. The sword that Ling Jueyun had used in the Time Canyon was a divine weapon. Although it was only a primitive divine weapon, its strength was not inferior to an Emperor-grade celestial weapon in the slightest. Ling Jueyun did not doubt Duan Lingtian's words. His gaze softened as he looked at Duan Lingtian. However, Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyun were the only ones who knew what had happened in the Celestial Lord Temple. The others who were sent out of the Celestial Lord Temple with Duan Lingtian had no recollection of what had happened in the Celestial Lord Temple. Even Morong Xiao Xiao was confused when she was sent out of the Celestial Lord Temple. She could not recall what had happened. 232 points. So many points, but he still hasn't reached the top of the rankings? Morong Xiao Xiao glanced at her accumulative point Jade before she looked at the top 3 names on the scoreboard. She was ranked 3rd. First place, Ling Jueyun, 298 points. Second place, Duan Lingtian, 286 points. Murong Xiao frowned. She had never heard of these two people before. It was obvious they were not famous in the profound Nether Mansion. Nevertheless, she was still shocked by the fact that two unknown people ranked first and second in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Second Mississippi. At this moment, the two elders of the Murong family walked towards Murong Xiao. When Murong Xiao saw the two of them, she also walked towards them. Murong Xiao was not only a rare genius disciple of the Murong family, but she was also the only daughter of the current head of the Murong family. As a woman, she was better than a man. Second Miss, you really don't remember what happened inside at all? An elder of the Murong family asked. I only remember how I got 12 points. I can't remember anything else. It's just that I didn't expect that even though I got 232 points, I still couldn't get first place. Murong Xiao shook her head at first, but after that she couldn't help but sigh. Elders, do you know who those two people are? Murong Xiao looked at the first and second names on the scoreboard and asked the two Murong family elders in front of her. Second Miss, both of them are sectless cultivators. Ling Jueyun is a sectless cultivator from the East Ming Nation in the Thousand Nations territory. As for Duan Ling Tian, he's a sectless cultivator from the supporting Fall Nation in the Thousand Nations territory. One of the Murong family's elders replied. Second young miss, both of them aren't ordinary sectless cultivators. Not only are they ranked first and second in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, but they're both younger than 100 years old. The other elder from the Murong family chimed in. What? Younger than 100 years old? If it was said that the words of the Murong family elder from before had only slightly surprised Murong Xiao. However, the words of the Murong family elder after that completely shocked Murong Xiao. Not only were the two people ranked higher than her sectless cultivators, but they were also younger than 100 years old? Ling Jueyun. After taking a deep breath, Murong Xiao followed the gazes of the people in the surroundings and confirmed Ling Jueyun's location. She immediately looked at him. She discovered Ling Jueyun was indeed younger than 100 years old. And Duan Ling Tian. Murong Xiao murmured to herself. Then she looked at Duan Ling Tian and discovered Duan Ling Tian was indeed younger than Ling Jueyun. Chem? Duan Ling Tian instinctively turned to look at Murong Xiao. At the same time, the Chaos Divine Earth's voice rang in his mind. That woman is Murong Xiao. Murong Xiao. Realization dawned on Duan Ling Tian. He had heard the Chaos Divine Earth mention this name before. He knew Murong Xiao had tried to curry favor with him in the Time Canyon, but she had ignored him when she found out he couldn't do anything to her in the Time Canyon. Based on her gaze, it's obvious she doesn't remember me. When Duan Ling Tian looked at Murong Xiao, it was not difficult for him to see the way she looked at him. It was as though she was looking at a stranger for the first time. Those who have come out of the Time Canyon, please return to your respective sections. Zhang Sun Xiongqi, an elder of the Zhang Sun clan from the 3 sects and 2 clans, said. Duan Ling Tian and the others quickly left the entrance of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Duan Ling Tian and Huang Jiachao returned to Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation. Ling Jueyun returned to the emperor of the East Ming Nation as well. Duan Ling Tian, congratulations. Hu Lin Yi smiled brightly when he saw Duan Ling Tian returning after ranking second on the scoreboard. It seemed as though he had forgotten about his son, Hu Jiyang's death. Jiachao, you did well as well. You managed to rank in the top 100. After greeting Duan Ling Tian, Hu Lin Yi turned to look at Huang Jiachao and said with a smile. The 4th prince's name. At the same time, Huang Jiachao, who had been observing the scoreboard, discovered his 4th brother, Huang Jialong's name on the scoreboard. However, the 4th prince of the supporting Fall Nation, Hu Jiyong, was nowhere to be seen. This meant there was only one possibility. Hu Jiyong had died. Huang Jiachao gasped inwardly as he looked at Hu Lin Yi warily. Yong has died. Hu Lin Yi said in a deep voice when he noticed Huang Jiachao's gaze. My condolences, Your Majesty. Huang Jiachao hurriedly comforted him. Meanwhile, many people in the surroundings saw Duan Ling Tian returning to the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation. Congratulations, Emperor Hu. Emperor Hu, you're really lucky to have such a monstrous sectless cultivator like Duan Ling Tian to help you, Emperor Hu. I'm sure you'll be rewarded handsomely this time. You're ranked second on the scoreboard. Since you're the one who recommended Duan Ling Tian, you'll be rewarded handsomely, Emperor Hu. A hint of jealousy could be seen in the eyes of many people as they congratulated Emperor Hu. Although some of them seemed to be congratulating Emperor Hu, they were inwardly cursing Emperor Hu for being so lucky. The 3 sects and 2 clans would reward those who recommended Duan Ling Tian based on the scoreboard. The higher one's ranking was, the more generous the reward would be. Since Duan Lingtian was ranked second on the scoreboard, Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall nation, would be rewarded handsomely, second only to the emperor of the East Ming nation. The emperor of the East Ming nation, on the other hand, would be rewarded handsomely since Ling Jueyun was ranked first on the scoreboard. Jueyun, you didn't disappoint me. The emperor of the East Ming nation welcomed Ling Jueyun back to the emperor of the East Ming nation with a bright smile on his face. He was still in a daze when he learned Ling Jueyun was ranked first on the scoreboard. Although he knew Ling Jueyun was strong, he did not expect Ling Jueyun to be ranked in the top 10, let alone the first place. Meanwhile, Murong Xiao, who was ranked third on the scoreboard, was surrounded by many people who were flattering and congratulating her. Congratulations, Miss Murong, for ranking third on the scoreboard. With Miss Murong's innate talent, it'll be easy for you to join the profound Nether Mansion with the help of the 3 sects and 2 clans. I'm sure you'll have a bright future in the profound Nether Mansion as well. Congratulations, Miss Murong. Congratulations, Miss Murong. Murong Xiao merely nodded indifferently in response to the flattery. Her eyes remained fixed on Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyun. She still could not accept the fact that they were ranked first and second on the scoreboard. Who's the one who killed my Chun? At this moment, an old man dressed in gray was looking at Ling Jueyun, Duan Lingtian, Murong Xiao, and the other 7 people in the top 10. It was as though he was looking for something. He was none other than Sima Pingdong, the Grand Elder of the Great 7 Sima clan. He was looking for the culprit among Duan Lingtian and the others who had killed his grandson, Sima Chun. On the other side, the members of the Dongfang clan were also looking at Duan Lingtian and the others. Similar to Sima Pingdong, they wanted to find the culprit who had killed Dongfang Jin Luan. Li Yuan. Who killed him? Who killed Elder Yunzhan? The 2 grade 8 sects behind Li Yuan and Yunzhan were also trying to find the person who killed Li Yuan and Yunzhan from Duan Lingtian's group. No matter who it is, I, Sima Pingdong, and the Sima clan will reward you handsomely if you can provide us with any clues about the culprit who killed my grandson, Sima Chun. Sima Pingdong said loudly. His voice was like a clap of thunder that resounded through the central area of the scaling cloud lake. The Dongfang clan will also reward you handsomely if you can provide any clues about the culprit who killed Dongfang Jin Luan. After Sima Pingdong, the people from the Dongfang clan, the Grade 7 Dongfang clan, also announced. The 2 of them spoke one after another, revealing their determination to find the culprit. It would be fine if the person who had died this time was just an ordinary disciple of their clan. However, the person who had died this time was the most outstanding disciple in their clan. Chapter 30-31. It seems like the 2 of you don't respect the 3 sects and 2 clans at all. After the cold snort, a cold voice sounded. Once it entered everyone's ears, it made them feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. As soon as the voice fell, swoosh, a gust of wind blew past. In the next moment, under the gazes of the crowd, a figure seemed to appear out of thin air in front of the Sima family's grand elder, Sima Pingdong. Behind Ming Feng. By the time Sima Pingdong regained his senses, the person in front of him had already attacked at lightning speed. Swoosh. Just as Sima Pingdong's celestial origin energy was about to surge out of his body, the person in front of him raised his hand and spun a writing brush in his hand. In the next moment, boom, rumble. The celestial origin energy that Sima Pingdong had just released was destroyed in one fell swoop. Then, the celestial origin energy enveloped Sima Pingdong. With a sweep of its tail, Sima Pingdong's body exploded, turning into a bloody mist that filled the sky. All that was left was a singlet and a storage ring. Swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, everyone, including Duan Lingtian, felt a terrifying shockwave sweep out, and then it transformed into gusts of wind that swept out in all directions and blew at the clothes on their bodies. Those who were standing close to the scene narrowed their eyes and retreated hastily. He's dead. Duan Lingtian's eyes widened slightly. He did not expect the person from the Sima clan would be killed in just a blink of an eye. The person who killed the Sima Pingdong was so swift and clean that it was shocking. The Grand Elder of the Sima clan died just like that? The Grand Elder of the Sima clan is one of the top powerhouses in the Sima clan. However, he couldn't even withstand a single blow from the 3rd sect leader of the coupling celestial sect? Even if he was unprepared, he shouldn't be so helpless, right? It's normal. The 3rd sect leader of the coupling celestial sect is even stronger than the 1st sect leader of the coupling celestial sect. He's also one of the 10 inspectors of the profound Nether Mansion. The Grand Elder of the Sima clan is really unlucky. If it were someone else from the coupling celestial sect, the the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect would only reprimand him for his actions. However, the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect is also an inspector of the profound nether mansion. Bihai Mingfeng, the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect, had killed Sima Pingdong, the grand elder of the Sima clan. At this time, the people of the rank 8 sects behind Li Yuan and Yunzhan all secretly wiped away their cold sweat. Fortunately, they did not have the time to speak. Otherwise, they would have been targeted by the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect. At that time, they would have died without a burial ground. Sima Pingdong's strength was far superior to theirs, but he still died, let alone them? Great Elder. The other elder of the Sima family had personally witnessed the death of the great elder, Sima Pingdong, but he could only smile bitterly. There was nothing he could do. He's from the Eastern Fang clan. After Bihai Mingfeng killed Sima Pingdong, many people shifted their attention to the person from the Eastern Fang clan who had spoken earlier. Earlier, someone from the Eastern Fang clan had also spoken after Sima Pingdong's death. His words were a clear violation of the rules in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. As expected, after killing Sima Pingdong, Bihai Mingfeng disappeared from his spot under everyone's watchful eyes. When he reappeared, he was already standing in front of the person from the Eastern Fang clan. The person who had spoken earlier was an ordinary elder from the Eastern Fang clan. His expression changed drastically when he saw Sima Pingdong being killed. When he saw Bihai Mingfeng appear before him, his complexion immediately turned pale. There was no trace of blood in his face. Third sect leader, please spare my life. Third sect leader, please spare my life. The elder from the Eastern Fang clan knelt in the air and repeatedly kowtowed as he begged Bihai Mingfeng for mercy. Even if Sima Pingdong was fully prepared, it would be easy for him to kill the elder from the Eastern Fang clan. For someone who could kill Sima Pingdong with just a blow, killing the elder from the Eastern Fang clan would be as easy as stepping on an ant. However, Bihai Mingfeng's expression remained indifferent when he heard the elder from the Eastern Fang clan begging for mercy. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Bihai Mingfeng raised his hand again and pointed his brush at the air. In the next moment, swoosh! A sharp ray of light whizzed out from the tip of the brush, making a sound like the whistle of a sword. It streaked across the sky like a meteor. Spurt! In the next instant, the crowd saw that the Dongfang clan's elder, who was kowtowing non-stop, had just raised his head when a bloody hole appeared in between his eyebrows. His eyes fell to the ground and he died with grievance. After killing Sima Pingdong, the grand elder of the Sima clan, Bihai Mingfeng had taken Sima Pingdong's spatial ring and vest. However, after killing the elder from the Eastern Fang clan, he did not take Sima Pingdong's spatial ring and defensive celestial weapon. It was as though he did not care about Sima Pingdong's spatial ring and defensive celestial weapon at all. In fact, Bihai Mingfeng was right. With Bihai Mingfeng's status and wealth, even Sima Pingdong, the grand elder of the Sima clan, could not compare to him. It was only natural that he would not be interested in the spatial ring of an ordinary elder from the Eastern Fang clan. After killing the elder from the Eastern Fang clan, Bihai Mingfeng returned to the palanquin in just a blink of an eye. Sect leader Bihai, I'm afraid most of the people who came out of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm will only want to join the coupling celestial sect now. Zhang Guangzheng, one of the vice sect leaders of the Simplicity Celestial sect, said with a bitter smile on his face. That's right, sect leader Bihai. That's not very nice of you. Heng Chan, the pavilion master of the Arhat Hall from the Cloud Platform Celestial sect, chimed in unhappily. The Zhangsun brothers from the Zhangsun clan and Gong Yang Yu from the Gong Yang clan remained silent, but they could only smile bitterly at the side. The third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect had displayed his prowess, but they had done nothing. If they were in Bihai Mingfeng's shoes, they would be more willing to join a sect with such a powerhouse. Isn't it because I saw that after Sima Pingdong spoke, although you all looked dissatisfied, you didn't intend to attack, so I attacked? Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Zhang Guangzheng and Heng Chan before he said indifferently, since both of you didn't want to make a move, I had no choice but to make a move. Upon hearing Bihai Mingfeng's words, Zhang Guangzheng and Heng Chan could only smile bitterly. They wanted to make a move as well. However, Sima Pingdong was not any weaker than them. Even if they made a move, it would only end in a stalemate. If Sima Pingdong decided to flee, they would not be able to stop him with their strength. If Sima Pingdong fled, it would be even more embarrassing than if they did not make a move. For this reason, after weighing the pros and cons, they did not make a move. After Bihai Mingfeng made a move, the remaining people from the Sima clan and the Dongfang clan behaved themselves. The two people from the grade 8 sects behind Li Yuan and Yun Zhan also behaved themselves. They did not even dare to look at Duan Lingtian, Ling Jueyun, Murong Xiaoxiao and the others. Someone's coming out again. A moment later, a cry of surprise rang out. Many people saw another figure appear outside the door that floated in the air. Not long after, figures came out one after another. Jialong soon after, Duan Lingtian saw Huang Jialong emerging from the door. Apart from that, Duan Lingtian knew Huang Jialong was fine since his name was still on the scoreboard. Moreover, Huang Jialong had more points than Huang Jiachao. Unlike Huang Jiachao who relied on Duan Lingtian, Huang Jialong had obtained all his points on his own. This time, out of the 9 people from the supporting Fall Nation who entered, only 4 survived. Apart from the 3 of us, there's also Meng Qiuyu. Upon seeing Huang Jialong, Duan Lingtian glanced at the scoreboard and saw Meng Qiuyu's name. Meng Qiuyu was one of the 2 women among the 9 people from the supporting Fall Nation who had entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm with an old woman who was a celestial king. Brother Duan. As soon as Huang Jialong came out, he made his way to Duan Lingtian and the others. After greeting Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, he began to chat with Duan Lingtian. Brother Duan, how many points did you obtain? Huang Jialong asked curiously. At the same time, he waved the accumulative point jade in his hand proudly and said, I have 22 points. See for yourself. Duan Lingtian shrugged nonchalantly when he heard Huang Jialong's question. At the same time, he looked at the scoreboard in the distance. Huang Jialong followed Duan Lingtian's gaze and looked at the scoreboard. Look at it from the top. When Huang Jialong's eyes landed on the scoreboard, Huang Jiachao reminded him. Huang Jialong shifted his gaze to the top of the scoreboard. First place, Ling Jueyun, 298 points. Huang Jialong could not help but curse when he saw the first row. *CK. That genius sectless cultivator from the East Ming nation is so freakish? First place? How did he do it? Don't worry about that. Just look at the scoreboard. Huang Jiachao reminded him. Huang Jialong suppressed his shock and continued to look at the scoreboard. He was stunned when he saw the scoreboard. Second place. Duan Lingtian. 286 points. Once these words fell into his eyes, they seemed to contain an extremely powerful force that continuously attacked his eyeballs. Be brother Duan. Why you're in second place? After a while, Huang Jialong looked at Duan Lingtian in disbelief. What did you do? I just did it. That's all. Duan Lingtian shrugged again and said with a casual expression. Swoosh. Meng Qiuyu exited the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm and returned to the old woman's side as a fragrant breeze blew in the air. Chapter 30-32. Meng Qiuyu actually obtained 31 points. That's even more than Jialong. Duan Lingtian looked at Meng Qiuyu in surprise. It seems like she hid her strength during the Southern Heaven combat. 31 points. Among those who did not enter the Celestial Lord Temple, this was considered a lot. She even made it into the top 100. Duan Lingtian second place? When Meng Qiuyu came out and saw the second place on the scoreboard, she could not help but look at Duan Lingtian in shock. Although she knew Duan Lingtian was extraordinary, she did not expect him to be the strongest among the overarching heavenly supreme celestials in the supporting Fall Nation. The profound Nether Mansion was huge. There were more than 1,000 grade 8 celestial kingdoms like the supporting Fall Nation, grade 8 forces, and even more powerful grade 7 forces. It was precisely because of this that she was so shocked that she was unable to regain her senses for a long time when Duan Lingtian was ranked second. Play around? Huang Jialong was stunned by Duan Lingtian's words. When he regained his senses, the corner of his mouth twitched uncontrollably when he looked at Duan Lingtian again. Huang Jialong had risked his life to obtain 22 points in the profound Nether Mansion. However, Duan Lingtian said he only played around and obtained 286 points? Huang Jialong rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian. Then he changed the topic and asked, Brother Duan, have you made up your mind? Which of the 3 sects and 2 clans do you want to join? My suggestion is, don't join the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. Even if you join the profound Nether Mansion, they won't treat you as well as their lineal disciples. They might put in some effort to get you to join the profound Nether Mansion, but there's a limit to how much they can do. On the other hand, the Simplicity Celestial Sect, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, and the Coupling Celestial Sect are different. Since they're sects, they'll definitely invest a lot of resources into you in order to recruit you. Huang Jialong said. I think so too. Duan Lingtian nodded. He had already thought about what Huang Jialong said, so he didn't consider joining the Gongyang clan or Zhangsun clan. Why don't you join the Coupling Celestial Sect with me? Not only does the Coupling Celestial Sect have a powerful third sect master like Bihai Mingfeng, but they also have many female disciples and top-grade sex slaves. Huang Jialong continued. His eyes sparkled like two bright stars in the night sky. Duan Lingtian naturally knew what Huang Jialong was referring to. Huang Jialong was referring to beautiful women who had no cultivation base. They were raised by the Coupling Celestial Sect as cultivation furnaces for the male disciples of the Coupling Celestial Sect. Of course, those cultivation furnaces were all willing to become cultivation furnaces. The Coupling Celestial Sect was very good at this. They never forced anyone to do anything. For this reason, although the Coupling Celestial Sect had a bad reputation in the profound Nether Mansion, no one thought of it as an evil sect. I think you're just after the female disciples and the sex slaves of the Coupling Celestial Sect, right? Duan Lingtian said angrily. Ha! Huang Jialong laughed awkwardly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then he looked at Huang Jiachao and said, Jiachao, you're quite lucky. Not only did you come out alive but you even managed to accumulate 17 points. Before entering the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, Huang Jialong had no idea how dangerous it was. It was only after he survived that he realized how dangerous the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm was. In fact, he even thought his fifth brother Huang Jiachao might have died in there. Yes, I'm quite lucky. If it weren't for Brother Duan, I would have died in there, Huang Jiachao said with a sigh. At the same time, he looked at Duan Lingtian gratefully. If it weren't for Duan Lingtian, he would not be standing here right now. What happened? Huang Jialong thanked Duan Lingtian profusely after he learned about what had happened. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, was thinking about something else when he heard Huang Jialong's words. If the Chaos Divine Earth did not tell him that he had saved Huang Jiachao, he would not have known that he had saved Huang Jiachao's life. After all, the moment he learned about the Celestial Lord Temple in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, his memory of the Celestial Lord Temple had been erased. Huang Jiachao only remembered the Celestial Lord Temple after Duan Lingtian had saved him. After Huang Jiachao found out about the Immortal Lord Palace, he lost all his memories. He couldn't remember what had happened. Both of you have amnesia? Huang Jialong was shocked when he learned that both Duan Lingtian and Huang Jiachao had lost their memories in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. After all, from the moment he entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm until now, he had not lost any of his memories. Yes. Huang Jiachao nodded and said, Brother Duan and I, as well as some of the stronger people, were the first to be sent out. We don't even know where we were sent out from. Huang Jiachao had a bitter smile on his face as he was still in a daze. He had no idea what had happened after that. Although both of you have amnesia, didn't Elder Zhangsun Xiongqi from the Zhangsun clan say that? Those who have lost their memories have obtained great fortuitous encounters. At this moment, the old man standing next to Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, said, There's a chance that those who have lost their memories will be able to comprehend the law of time. As soon as the old man finished speaking, Hu Lin Yi said, The chances of that happening are very slim. At the very least, in the past 10,000 years, no one in the profound Nether Mansion has managed to comprehend the law of time in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, in recent years, there have been people in Grade 6 Celestial Mansions who managed to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, the time elemental profundity, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. It was clear Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, was familiar with this matter. For this reason, both of you should stop thinking about the law of time. It's good that you've comprehended it. It's normal that you haven't comprehended it. Hu Lin Yi comforted Duan Lingtian and Huang Jiachao as he looked at them. Both of them nodded in agreement. His Majesty is right. The law of time is the strongest of the four supreme laws. It's not something that ordinary people can comprehend. Huang Jialong nodded in agreement with Hu Lin Yi's words. I feel like my comprehension of the law of time is quite deep. In fact, I think it's very likely that I'll be able to comprehend the law of time. When Duan Lingtian thought about his comprehension of the law of time, he was certain that he would be able to comprehend the law of time. He was looking forward to it. The law of time was the strongest of the four supreme laws. It was superior to the law of space, the law of life, and the law of death. Naturally, everyone wanted to comprehend the law of time, including Duan Lingtian. As time passed, more and more people came out of the lower realm. 10 days later, everyone who had survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm had come out. The door that was hovering in the air had also disappeared as though it was never there. Now, All the overarching heavenly supreme celestials who survived the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, please step forward and present your accumulative point jade. The host, Zhang Sun Xiongqi, stepped forward and announced. Everyone, including Duan Ling Tian, stepped forward and took out their accumulative point jades. Although the accumulative jade tokens in everyone's hands were divided into 4 colors, it was not difficult to tell which color had the most accumulative jade tokens at a glance. Gentlemen, I'm sorry, but the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect won. Hung Chan from the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect glanced at the accumulative point jade in everyone's hands before he looked at Bihai Mingfeng, Zhang Guangjing, Zhang Sun Xiongqi, and Gong Yangyu with a smile on his face. Currently, most of the accumulative point jades in the hands of Duan Ling Tian and the others were made of golden jades. The golden jades were the accumulative point jades distributed by the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect. Every time the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm opened, the 3 sects and 2 clans would set up a bet with each other. The participants were betting on which sect would have the most accumulative point jades when they came out of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm with the most accumulative point jades. The sect with the most accumulative point jades in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm would lose to the sect with the most accumulative point jades. Humph! Zhang Guangjing scoffed before he tossed a spatial ring to Hung Chan. On the other hand, Bihai Mingfeng calmly tossed a spatial ring to Hung Chan. It was as though he did not care about losing the bet at all. In fact, he did not care about the bet at all. After all, the bet belonged to the Coupling Celestial Sect, not him. What he cared about the most now was this. Would the Coupling Celestial Sect be able to recruit the 3 most outstanding Celestial Sect disciples? Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Ling Jueyun, Duan Ling Tian and Murong Xiao Xiao. He did not pay any attention to Murong Xiao Xiao because she was a woman. Instead, he shifted his attention to Ling Jueyun and Duan Ling Tian. Which sect do you plan to join? A voice transmission suddenly rang in Duan Ling Tian's ears. Upon hearing this, Duan Ling Tian immediately looked to his left. Ling Jueyun stood there and stared at him. What? Do you want to join the same sect as me? Duan Ling Tian asked through voice transmission. Yes. Ling Jueyun replied. Why? Duan Ling Tian asked again. I'm afraid Sister Huang will be implicated if you die. Ling Jueyun did not beat around the bush. Huang used to be the sword soul of his sister's prominent divine sword. She had been separated from the prominent divine sword and had yet to fully recover. Currently, she was residing in Duan Ling Tian's body. She had yet to fully integrate with Duan Ling Tian's prominent divine sword. If Duan Ling Tian died, it was almost impossible for Huang to survive. Duan Ling Tian was speechless when he heard Ling Jueyun's words. Chapter 30-33. Tell him that I don't want him to join the same force as you. Both of you need to train on your own, Huang said to Ling. She continued to say to Duan Ling Tian, if both of you are together, you won't be able to train on your own anymore. Based on her words, it was clear she did not want Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyun to join the same force. In fact, even if we join different forces, we'll still go to the profound Nether Mansion together. However, you're right. At the very least, before we go to the profound Nether Mansion, if we're not together, we'll have to face everything on our own. Duan Ling Tian decided to respect Huang wishes and relayed her words to Ling Jueyun. Since Huang was currently in Duan Ling Tian's sea of consciousness, she could not communicate with Ling Jueyun directly. Therefore, she could only rely on Duan Ling Tian to relay her words to him. Please tell Big Sister Huang that I understand. Ling Jueyun's expression was slightly unsightly, but he nodded. It was clear he had no intention of going against Huang wishes. Now, the top 3 participants and the representatives of the forces that have recommended them to enter the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, please come to me. Zhang Sun Xiongqi said loudly as he looked at Duan Ling Tian, Ling Jueyun and Murong Xiao Xiao. The 3 of them stepped out of the void immediately. They were none other than Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, the emperor of the East Ming Nation, and an elder from the Murong clan. Zhang Sun Xiongqi had asked Duan Ling Tian and the others to step forward to give out their rewards. The first reward was Ling Jueyun and the emperor of the East Ming Nation. They were each given a spatial ring. Only they knew what was inside the spatial ring. However, based on the overjoyed expression on the emperor of the East Ming Nation's face after he accepted the spatial ring and claimed it as his master, it was obvious the spatial ring contained a bountiful reward. Many people looked at the emperor of the East Ming Nation enviously. Naturally, these people were the representatives of Grade 8 and Grade 9 forces. As for the representatives of Grade 7 forces, they did not think much of it. A reward that could tempt a leader of a grade 8 force was nothing to a grade 7 force. The Emperor of the East Ming Nation, the Emperor of a grade 8 celestial kingdom, is inferior to a young man who's younger than 100 years old. Duan Ling Jueyun's disciple from a grade 8 celestial kingdom. He said this because Ling Jueyun's expression remained calm after he claimed ownership of Zhang Sun Xiongqi's spatial ring. It was as though he did not care about the contents of the spatial ring at all. After all, the S's, the reward, the rewards, 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 the TTTs, is Duan Emperors is Duan Merit to T. S. Emperor Lu, go ahead and be jealous. Ah. The Emperor of the East Ming Nation did not mind being mocked by the Emperor of the 8th grade celestial nation. Instead he laughed loudly. That was because the Emperor of the East Ming Nation was his sworn enemy. He was only mocking him because of jealousy. However, there were still many people who were surprised by Ling Jueyun's composure. Not to mention Ling Jueyun's innate talent and comprehension ability, his ability to remain unperturbed even in the face of a great wave will definitely make him a genius in the Southern Heaven territory in the future. Hung Chan from the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect looked at Ling Jueyun with admiration in his eyes. If he had been a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, he would not have been able to remain so calm when faced with the rewards that Ling Jueyun had received. What? Hung Chan, are you interested in this little fellow as well? Bihai Mingfeng asked Hung Chan. Of course. If he's willing to join the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, we'll do our best to nurture him even if he has to leave the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect for the profound Nether Mansion. The Cloud Platform Celestial Sect is willing to form a good relationship with him. After Hung Chan finished speaking, he clasped his hands together and looked away from Ling Jueyun. Then he closed his eyes and looked at Hung Chan sincerely. Old bald donkey Hung Chan, you're really scheming. This brat is destined to become a powerhouse in the Southern Heaven territory in the future. Aren't you betting on the benefits that he'll bring to the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect by forming a good relationship with him? Zhang Guangzheng from the Simplicity Celestial Sect said as he looked at Heng Chan disdainfully. You don't have to act all pitiful in front of us. Do you think we don't know what you're thinking? Gong Yangyu, who was standing at the side, felt like laughing when he saw Zhang Guangzheng did not give Heng Chan any face at all. As for Bihai Mingfeng, although his expression did not change, he also glanced at Heng Chan with a disdainful look in his eyes. Naturally, both Bihai Mingfeng and Zhang Guangzheng admired Ling Jueyun's character. However, if they knew Ling Jueyun possessed an emperor-grade celestial weapon or even a divine artifact, they would not have such thoughts. Even if the rewards from the 3 sects and 2 clans could be of some use to someone who possessed an emperor-grade celestial weapon or even a divine artifact, it would not be enough to make him happy. Meanwhile, after Ling Jueyun and the Emperor of the East Ming Nation received their rewards, Duan Ling Tian and Hu Lin Yi, the Emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, each received a spatial ring. Hu Lin Yi's face flushed with excitement after the storage ring claimed ownership of the ring. At this moment, it was as though he had completely forgotten about his son's death. Duan Ling Tian glanced at the spatial ring. There were no king-grade celestial weapons inside, only celestial talismans and a few pill bottles. Beside the celestial talismans were memory celestial talismans. Duan Ling Tian probed the spatial ring with his divine consciousness. Thunderbolt Talisman. It contains 2 profundities from the law of thunder. It's inscribed by a celestial king. Once crushed, it can kill most celestial dukes. Spring Rain Talisman. It contains 2 profundities from the law of wood. It's inscribed by a celestial king. Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Among the celestial talismans, the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman was one that Duan Ling Tian had come across before. The Shadow Void Escaping Talisman was a common celestial talisman. It was common even in the Borderlands. However, other celestial talismans were rare in the Borderlands. The 3 sects and 2 clans didn't give me any celestial weapons. Instead, they gave me these celestial talismans. It seems like they think I don't lack celestial weapons since I'm from the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Duan Ling Tian was not surprised that he was rewarded with a pile of celestial talismans and pill bottles that contain celestial pills. Based on my ranking, it's not difficult for them to guess that I've obtained some king-grade celestial weapons that have been nurtured by celestial lords. Under such circumstances, the celestial weapons they gave me are just icing on the cake. After all, they can only give me celestial weapons that are similar to the ones I obtained in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, I'm afraid they don't know that not only did I obtain many celestial weapons, but I also obtained many pills and celestial talismans in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. For this reason, Duan Lingtian remained calm when he saw the rewards given to him by the 3 sects and 2 clans. Upon seeing how calm Duan Lingtian was after receiving his rewards, those who were paying attention to him began to think highly of him. Duan Lingtian isn't as simple as he seems. It's rare for a sectless cultivator to be so calm at such a time. Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyun are definitely dark horses in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I wonder where these 2 sectless cultivators came from? I have a feeling they're not sectless cultivators. The crowd discussed among themselves. Based on their discussions, they felt Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyun were not sectless cultivators. After all, their strength at such a young age was not something a sectless cultivator should possess. Shouldn't the rewards be given to us after we decide on which sect we want to join? Murong Xiao Xiao asked when it was time for her and the Murong clan's elder to receive their rewards. That was in the past. Zhang Sun Xiongqi said, starting from the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm this time, the 3 sects and 2 clans will give out rewards first. Then you'll be allowed to choose one of our forces to join. This is also an order from the profound Nether Mansion. A hint of helplessness could be heard in Zhang Sun Xiongqi's voice when he spoke. Although the rewards were given out by the 3 sects and 2 clans, the rewards given by the Zhangsun clan and Gongyang clan were less than half of what the Coupling Celestial sect, the Cloud Platform Celestial sect, and the Simplicity Celestial sect had to offer. Even so, they were still at a disadvantage. After all, in the past, the outstanding overarching heavenly supreme celestials who survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm would not choose the Zhangsun clan or the Gongyang clan. This was also the shackles of clans. There was a huge difference between clans and sections. He knew this very well in his heart, so he always felt helpless and never felt unwilling or anything like that. If he were an outstanding overarching heavenly supreme celestial, he would not have chosen the Zhangsun clan or the Gongyang clan. I see. Murong Xiao Xiao suddenly understood and received the reward at the same time. The Murong family elder beside her also received the reward. Whether it was Murong Xiao Xiao or the Murong family elder beside her, after claiming ownership of the storage ring in their hands, their faces were similarly calm and unperturbed. However, none of them were surprised by this. After all, they were members of the Murong clan. The Murong clan was a grade 7 clan. It was comparable to the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. However, since the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan were close to the profound Nether Mansion, they were much more prominent than the Murong clan. Chapter 30-34. I had a feeling something was amiss. As it turns out, they haven't even chosen a sect yet, but they're already being rewarded. Upon hearing Murong Xiao Zhao's question, many people who felt something was amiss finally realized what was going on. In the past, after the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm closed, the peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials would choose a sect to join first. Then that sect would reward them and the sect they had recommended. Naturally, only the peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials and the sect they had recommended would be rewarded accordingly. The higher one's ranking was, the more generous the rewards would be. Those who ranked in the top 3 would receive the most generous rewards. However, if one were to compare the rewards, it was only natural that those who ranked in the top 3 would receive lesser rewards than those who ranked in the top 3. After Murong Xiao Xiao and the elder from the Murong clan received their rewards, Zhang Sun Xiongqi spoke again. Those ranked from the 4th to the 10th place and the representatives of the sects that recommended them, please come to me. After the rewards were given to the top 3, it was time to give out the rewards to those who ranked in the top 10. After that, the rewards would be given out to those who were ranked in the top 10. The lower one's ranking was, the worse the rewards would be. After all the rewards were given out, Zhang Sun Xiongqi's voice rang in the air again. Now, according to the rankings, the top 30, starting from the first place, step forward one by one and choose the organization that you wish to join. Once you've made your choice, you can't change your mind. Therefore, you must consider carefully before making a decision. Zhang Sun Xiongqi reminded them before he looked at Ling Jueyun, who was ranked in the first place. Swoosh. Ling Jueyun stepped forward and looked at the 5 leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans. At this moment, a voice transmission sounded in his ears. It was from the 5 leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans. All 5 of them promised to do their best to nurture him so that he could join the profound Nether Mansion as soon as possible. I choose. Ling Jueyun spoke calmly under everyone's watchful eyes. Everyone, including the leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans, held their breaths as they looked at him. Cloud Platform Immortal Sect. In the end, Ling Jueyun decided to join the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect. Although most of the disciples in the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect were monks, there were still some lay disciples who did not need to shave their heads, wear kasayas and abide by the rules. However, the secular disciples of the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect were all geniuses. Only geniuses could become secular disciples of the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect. The secular disciples were a compromise of the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect. In the past, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect did not have secular disciples. In order to join the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, one had to shave one's head, tattoo one's name and change one's kasaya. The Cloud Platform Immortal Sect welcomes you. Hung Chan had a bright smile on his face. Just now, he had made the biggest promise to this gray-robed young man who was not even 100 years old, within the scope of his authority. After a while, Ling Jueyun turned around and nodded at the East Ming Kingdom's emperor. Then he flew to Hung Chan's side. Old bald donkey Hung Chan, I could tell from the start that you were determined to win him over. You must have made a huge promise for him, right? Zhang Guangzheng from the Simplicity Celestial Sect said as he looked at Heng Chan with a hint of jealousy. Old Taoist Zhang, as the saying goes, you can't trap a wolf without sacrificing a child. If you don't make a sacrifice, how can you convince him to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect? Heng Chan smiled faintly as he looked at Zhang Guangzheng. A hint of pride could be seen on his face. Zhang Guangzheng didn't pay any attention to Heng Chan. Instead, he turned his attention to the other purple figure that had stepped out of the void. The Simplicity Celestial Sect and the Coupling Celestial Sect. Which one should I choose? After Ling Jueyun had chosen the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, Duan Ling Tian had begun to consider this question. Even if he were to step forward now, it would still be difficult for him to make a decision. Although Bihai Ming Feng, the third sect leader of the Coupling Celestial Sect, was powerful and one of the 10 inspectors of the Profound Nether Mansion, it did not mean anything. He could not blindly choose the Coupling Celestial Sect just because of this. Duan Ling Tian, if you join the Zhang Sun clan, the Zhang Sun clan is willing to give you a purely defensive king-grade celestial weapon that has been nurtured by a celestial lord and 3 celestial talismans that will allow you to escape from a doctor. Duan Ling Tian was still hesitating when another voice rang in his ears. The person who spoke was none other than Zhang Sun Xiongqi from the Zhang Sun clan, the person in charge of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. This condition sounds good. However, isn't it a little too stingy? Most people might be interested in Zhang Sun Xiongqi's words, but Duan Ling Tian was not. Duan Ling Tian, if you join the Gongyang clan? Zhang Sun Xiongqi said through voice transmission. Following Zhang Sun Xiongqi's words, Gong Yang Yu, the leader of the Gongyang clan, also sent a voice transmission to Duan Ling Tian. Although his promise was better than Zhang Sun Xiongqi's, it was not much better. Then Bihai Ming Feng's voice rang in Duan Ling Tian's ears. Duan Ling Tian, if you join the Coupling Celestial Sect, not only will you be treated like a core disciple in the Coupling Celestial Sect, but I'll also do my best to help you in the Profound Nether Mansion. Compared to Zhang Sun Xiongqi and Zhang Sun Xiongqi, Bihai Ming Feng's promise was much better. For a moment, Duan Ling Tian was tempted. After Bihai Ming Feng finished speaking, Zhang Guangzheng, the vice-sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial Sect, said to Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, if you join the Simplicity Celestial Sect, you'll be treated like a direct disciple of the sect leader. Moreover, once you join the Profound Nether Mansion, the old ancestor of the Simplicity Celestial Sect, one of the 10 inspectors, will take care of you as well. Zhang Guangzheng paused for a moment before he continued to say, apart from that, you can take anything you want from the treasure vault that has been passed down since the Simplicity Celestial Sect was founded. Zhang Guangzheng's tone was slightly heavy when he spoke. It was clear he had gritted his teeth when he spoke. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. Based on his knowledge, the Simplicity Celestial Sect had the longest legacy among the Grade 7 sects in the Profound Nether Mansion. Even the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect and the Coupling Celestial Sect could not compare to them. Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian was still tempted by Zhang Guangzheng's promise when Heng Chan from the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect called out to him. However, Heng Chan's promise was about the same as Bihai Mingfeng's promise. In fact, it was even slightly inferior. It was far inferior to Zhang Guangzheng's promise. What did the old monk promise you when he asked you to join the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect? Duan Ling Tian asked Ling Jueyun through voice transmission. After receiving Ling Jueyun's reply, Duan Ling Tian could not help but curse inwardly. After all, Heng Chan's promise was nothing compared to Ling Jueyun's promise. In fact, Heng Chan's promise to Ling Jueyun was comparable to Zhang Guangzheng's promise to him. I want to choose 3 treasures from the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault. Duanling Tian sent a voice transmission to Zhang Guangzheng. If it's possible, I'll join the Simplicity Celestial Sect. However, Zhang Guangzheng did not respond to Duanling Tian's voice transmission immediately. Duanling Tian guessed Zhang Guangzheng was probably asking the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial Sect through a communication celestial talisman. After a while, Zhang Guangzheng replied through voice transmission, 2 treasures at most. If you insist on 3 treasures, I can only say that you're not fated to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect. Upon hearing Zhang Guangzheng's reply, Duanling Tian knew this was the Simplicity Celestial Sect's bottom line. He nodded and said in a clear voice, I choose the Simplicity Celestial Sect. As soon as Duanling Tian finished speaking, he walked to Zhang Guangzheng's side. Zhang Guangzheng forced a smile on his face and said, The Simplicity Celestial Sect welcomes you. Bihai Mingfeng's expression turned ugly when he saw Ling Jueyun and Duanling Tian had chosen the Simplicity Celestial Sect and the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect respectively. Old man Zhang, bald donkey Heng Chan, what did you promise them? Bihai Mingfeng asked bluntly. He felt his promise was already generous. However, Ling Jueyun and Duanling Tian were unmoved. Faced with Bihai Mingfeng's question, Zhang Guangzheng and Heng Chan only smiled at him and remained silent. Bihai Mingfeng shifted his attention to Duanling Tian who was standing next to Zhang Guangzheng and said through voice transmission, Tell me what old man Zhang promised you. I'll give you 3 shadow void escaping talismans. 10. Duanling Tian glanced at Bihai Mingfeng and replied through voice transmission. The shadow void escaping talisman was not even a rare treasure to the 3rd sect leader of the coupling celestial sect. For this reason, Duanling Tian did not hold back at all. Brat, you're asking for too much. However, I like it. Fine. 10 talismans it is. Bihai Mingfeng agreed without hesitation. When Bihai Mingfeng heard Duanling Tian's words, the corner of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. It was one thing for him to be treated like a direct disciple of the sect leader of the coupling celestial sect. It was another thing for him to be treated well by the Simplicity Celestial Sect's inspector in the profound nether mansion. He could choose 2 items from the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault? Bihai Mingfeng felt that even he was a little tempted by this condition. After all, the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault had a long history. It was even longer than the profound nether mansion. Moreover, it was said that even an ordinary celestial lord would not be able to break through the defensive formation in the treasure vault. After learning about Zhang Guangzheng's promise to Duanling Tian, Bihai Mingfeng could only admit defeat. He felt his loss was justified. Bihai Mingfeng turned to look at Ling Jueyun, intending to ask Ling Jueyun about the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect's promise to him. Give me another 10 shadow void escaping talismans, and I'll tell you about the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect's promise to him. Duanling Tian's voice rang in Bihai Mingfeng's ears, causing the corner of Bihai Mingfeng's mouth to twitch. Chapter 30-35. Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Duanling Tian before he shifted his gaze to Ling Jueyun. Upon seeing this, Duanling Tian sent a voice transmission again. It's useless. As long as I ask, he won't tell you what the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect promised him. After saying this, Duanling Tian turned to Ling Jueyun and said, If Bihai Mingfeng, the 3rd sect leader of the coupling celestial sect, asks you what the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect promised you, don't tell him. Tell him to ask me. Chem? Ling Jueyun was slightly puzzled when he heard Bihai Mingfeng's voice transmission. He replied to Duanling Tian through voice transmission. He asked me, all right, tell him to ask me. Duanling Tian replied. To Ling Jueyun this was only a small matter. Moreover, Huang had already acknowledged Duanling Tian as her master. Naturally he would not disobey Duanling Tian. You can ask Duanling Tian. He knows. Although Bihai Mingfeng was strong, Ling Jueyun was not someone to be trifled with. Since he came from the Divine Offering Land, he had seen many powerhouses who were stronger than 10 Directions celestial emperors. Why would he be afraid of a mere celestial king? Upon hearing Ling Jueyun's reply, the corner of Bihai Mingfeng's mouth twitched. Then he shifted his gaze to Duanling Tian and said through voice transmission, Lad, I didn't expect you to have some tricks up your sleeve. You actually managed to get him to cooperate with you. Thank you for the compliment, sect leader Bihai. Duanling Tian replied through voice transmission. Same old rules, 10 shadow void escaping talismans. Bihai Mingfeng felt slightly helpless. He had dominated the profound nether mansion for many years, but this was the first time he felt so powerless in front of a junior. However, it was not appropriate for him to bully the junior in this situation. Speak. Bihai Mingfeng said grumpily. After listening to Duan Lingtian's voice transmission, Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Heng Chan from the cloud platform Celestial Sect meaningfully. I didn't expect the bald donkey Heng Chan to be so straightforward. The things that Heng Chan had promised to Ling Jueyun were not inferior to the things that Zhang Guangzheng had promised to Duan Lingtian. I'm still inexperienced. If I had known earlier, I would have spilled some blood. Anyway, the blood isn't mine. Bihai Mingfeng was a little regretful. It was his first time coming to such an event, and it was completely on a whim. He had no experience at all, so he couldn't compete with Heng Chan and Zhang Guangzheng. This Murong Xiao. I must have her. Just as Bihai Mingfeng was about to send a voice transmission to Murong Xiao after sorting out his thoughts, Murong Xiao opened her mouth and spoke. I choose the Gongyang family. As soon as Murong Xiao appeared, she decisively chose the Gongyang family. At this moment, let alone Bihai Mingfen, even Zhang Guangzheng and Zhang Sun Xiongqi from the Zhang Sun clan did not manage to send voice transmissions in time. As for Heng Chan from the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, he did not intend to use voice transmission since the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect was a Buddhist holy land that did not accept female disciples. Even if Murong Xiao was ranked first, the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect would not accept her, let alone the fact that she was only ranked third. The Cloud Platform Immortal Sect was willing to accept secular disciples as their greatest compromise. Female disciples? There was no way the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect would accept them. Gong Yangyu. You sure are fast. Zhang Sun Xiongqi looked at Gong Yangyu and said in a puzzled tone. He was even more puzzled as to why Murong Xiao would choose Gongyang family. Not to mention that the Gongyang family was the same as their Zhang Sun family, it was impossible for them to pay too much for Murong Xiao to join. The limitations of the family were enough to make Murong Xiao shrink back. Most importantly, Murong Xiao was also a member of a rank 7 family. She knew that it would be more comfortable for him to stay in the Murong family than it would be for her to stay in the Murong family. I didn't promise Miss Murong anything. Gong Yangyu said with a smile. You didn't promise anything? Who would believe that? If you didn't promise her anything, why would she choose the Gongyang family? Zhang Sun Xiongqi asked skeptically. Elder Zhang Sun, I'm afraid you don't know this. The Gongyang family and the Murong family are going to have a marriage alliance. The third young master of the Gongyang family is going to marry the fourth young miss of the Murong family. Gong Yangyu continued to say with a smile. Upon hearing this, not only was Zhang Sun Xiongqi stunned, but even Zhang Guangzheng and Heng Chan were stunned as well. As far as I know, the Murong family's fourth young miss and Murong Xiao share the same mother. The third young master of the Gongyang family is basically confirmed to be the future leader of the Gongyang family. Bihai Mingfeng narrowed his eyes as he spoke. He was no longer surprised that Murong Xiao had chosen the Gongyang family. If there were no accidents, Murong Xiao's sister would become the matriarch of the Gongyang family in the future. Murong Xiao joining the Gongyang family was not only to do the Gongyang family a favor, but it was also to pave the way for her sister. This little girl isn't simple at all. Bihai Mingfeng thought to himself as he stared deeply at Murong Xiao, who was standing beside Gong Yangyu and descending from the sky. After Murong Xiao, the people who were ranked at the top of the scoreboard entered the arena one after another. Perhaps Bihai Mingfeng did not manage to recruit anyone from the top 3 on the scoreboard, so he went all out and recruited almost half of the people in the top 30 to join the coupling Celestial Sect. Among the 7 people in the top 10, he had recruited 5 of them. Sect leader Bihai, the coupling Celestial Sect has reaped a great harvest this time, Zhang Guangzheng said with a smile as he looked at Bihai Mingfeng. Old Zhang, a straightforward person doesn't resort to insinuations. I'll give you the 5 people in the top 10 and you'll give me Duan Lingtian. What do you think? Bihai Mingfeng said through voice transmission. Naturally, he had spoken through voice transmission since the 5 people in the top 10 were standing next to him. If he said this out loud, the 5 people in the top 10 would be displeased. For this reason, Bihai Mingfeng replied to Zhang Guangzheng through voice transmission to avoid any conflict between the 5 people in the top 10 and the coupling Celestial Sect. Naturally, this was also because he was certain Zhang Guangzheng would not agree to it. If he was certain Zhang Guangzheng would agree to it, he would not have spoken through voice transmission. Just as Bihai Mingfeng had expected, Zhang Guangzheng merely smiled and did not respond to Bihai Mingfeng's voice transmission. As time passed, the group of people who had survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm chose to join one of the 3 sects and 2 clans. Most of them chose to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, and the Coupling Celestial Sect. Very few people chose to join the Jiangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. In the end, less than half of those who chose to join the Coupling Celestial Sect had chosen to join the Jiangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. I'll give you an hour. After an hour you'll leave with us. Jiangsun Xiongqi said in a loud voice to the group of peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had chosen to join the 3 sects and 2 clans. Many people began to bid farewell to their elders. Brother Duan, why didn't you join the Coupling Celestial Sect? It's said that the Coupling Celestial Sect has mountains, rivers, and beautiful women. It's said that half of the disciples in the Coupling Celestial Sect are female. Not to mention they have a large number of cauldrons as well. Huang Jialong said to Duan Lingtian through voice transmission. He found it difficult to accept the fact that Duan Lingtian did not choose to join the Coupling Celestial Sect. He knew in his heart that after this separation, it would not be as easy as before for them to meet again in the future. Just do your best. Isn't it the same if we meet in the profound Nether Mansion? Duan Lingtian said with a smile. After all, the elites from the 3 sects and 2 clans would have a chance to join the profound Nether Mansion. Once they joined the profound Nether Mansion, they would be able to compete with the elites from the various celestial mansions in the Southern Heaven Territory. After that, he would be able to come into contact with the 10 great clans of the Southern Heaven Territory and the few top sects of the Southern Heaven Territory. Although Huang Jialong was frustrated, he knew what was done could not be undone. He could only accept reality. Nevertheless, he was determined to join the profound Nether Mansion no matter what. He knew with Duan Lingtian's innate talent and comprehension ability, it would be easy for him to join the profound Nether Mansion. However, it would be difficult for him to join the profound Nether Mansion. There were many people with high innate talent and comprehension ability in the 3 sects and 2 clans. However, very few of them would be able to join the profound Nether Mansion. Be nice to my sister Huang. Otherwise I won't let you go. Duan Lingtian heard Ling Jueyun's threatening voice transmission when he saw Ling Jueyun looking at him. That depends on whether she's obedient or not. Duan Lingtian said mockingly through voice transmission. In the next moment he saw Ling Jueyun's eyes burning with anger. It was as though he could not wait to fight Duan Lingtian. I don't think we'll have a chance to fight now. Why don't we fight when we're in the profound Nether Mansion? Duan Lingtian said through voice transmission. Previously he had learned from the Chaos Divine Earth that Ling Jueyun did not compete with him for the best stone platform to comprehend the law of time in the Celestial Lord Temple in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm despite his extraordinary strength. Naturally, Ling Jueyun did not compete with him because he was afraid Duan Lingtian would seek revenge on Huang. After learning about Ling Jueyun's strength from the Chaos Divine Earth, Duan Lingtian was eager to have a fight with Ling Jueyun. He wanted to see if Ling Jueyun's 2 profundities from the Law of Death was more powerful than his 1 profundity from the Law of Earth and the Chaos Divine Earth's help. I'll fight you to the end. Ling Jueyun replied with a hint of battle intent in his voice. In just a blink of an eye, an hour had passed. At this moment, Bihai Mingfeng, Zhang Guangzheng, Heng Chan, Jiangsun Xiongqi, and Gong Yangyu, the leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans left the central area of the Scaling Cloud Lake with their people. During this process, the 5 leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans said goodbye to each other before taking their leave. The Simplicity Celestial Sect was located in a different direction from the other 2 sects and 2 clans. For this reason, Zhang Guangzheng led Duan Lingtian and the others in a different direction. Chapter 30-36. Naturally, the people who were looking at Duan Lingtian with jealousy were not the people from the Simplicity Celestial Sect who had followed Zhang Guangzheng here. Instead, they were the peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had chosen to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect. Many of these peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials were confident in their strength. They were certain Duan Lingtian was only able to rank second because of Duan Lingtian's luck. If they were as lucky as Duan Lingtian, they might even be able to rank second. Duan Lingtian is definitely not as strong as me. However, he's able to walk side by side with Vice Sect Leader Zhang. Moreover, Vice Sect Leader Zhang is also respectful to him. A gray-clothed old man in the crowd looked at Duan Lingtian's figure, and flames of jealousy burned in his eyes. He was a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of fire. He was considered one of the strongest among those who had entered the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. In this time's rankings he was ranked 9th. Apart from Duan Lingtian, he was the only other person in the top 10 who had chosen to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect. He had chosen to join the Simplicity Celestial sect because the sect had the most king-grade fire-type celestial methods and divine abilities among the 3 sects and 2 clans. If he joined the Simplicity Celestial sect, he would have a chance to obtain king-grade fire-type celestial methods and divine abilities and comprehend profundities from the law of fire. He had never thought of joining the profound Nether Mansion. After all, Duanling Tian was no longer young. The profound Nether Mansion only recruited those below the age of 300 who had high innate talent and high comprehension ability in the 3 sects and 2 clans. Therefore he had only planned to join the Simplicity Celestial sect and earn a place in the sect. Then he would try to obtain the king-grade fire-type celestial methods and divine abilities. However, when he saw Duanling Tian, who was not even 100 years old, standing next to vice-sect leader Zhang Guangzheng, while he could only follow behind Zhang Guangzheng, the vice-sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, he was infuriated. Fortunately, the gray-clad old man had forgotten about what had happened in the Time Canyon in the Celestial Lord Temple in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Otherwise he would not have dared to provoke Duanling Tian. After all, he'd witnessed Duanling Tian instantly kill Li Yuan, who'd comprehended 2 profundities of the law of fire just like him. Although Li Yuan had comprehended 2 profundities of the law of fire like him, the second profundity Li Yuan had comprehended was stronger than the second profundity he had comprehended. Therefore his strength was inferior to Li Yuan's. At that time, when he saw Li Yuan being instantly killed by Duanling Tian, even though he was envious that Duanling Tian occupied the highest stone platform in the Time Canyon, he didn't dare to fight for it. However, after leaving the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, he no longer remembered these things. For this reason he assumed Duanling Tian was only ranked 2nd on the scoreboard due to luck. Naturally, the gray-clad old man was not the only one who was jealous of Duanling Tian. There were also some people who were ranked at the top of the scoreboard who had comprehended the fundamental profundity of a law. Duanling Tian isn't even 100 years old, but he's ranked 2nd on the scoreboard. In my opinion, it's purely because of luck. I think so too. It's already rare for a brat who's not even 100 years old to become a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, let alone comprehending the fundamental profundity of a law. I can't believe he's being treated this way just because he's lucky. Moreover, based on his ranking, I'm sure he'll be rewarded handsomely. The peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who were relatively strong whispered among themselves as they stared at Duanling Tian's back. It was as though they thought Duanling Tian had relied on luck to rank 2nd on the scoreboard. Naturally, there were exceptions. For example, Xue Jingyu. Xue Jingyu, the 2nd prince of the Southern Qi nation, had comprehended the law of thunder's fundamental profundity, the thunder elemental profundity. However, when he looked at Duanling Tian, he did not underestimate him at all. After all, before entering the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, he had fought with Duanling Tian once. Therefore he knew how terrifying Duanling Tian was. These idiots probably don't know that Duanling Tian has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth even though he's not even 100 years old, right? At this moment, Xue Jingyu felt a strong sense of superiority when he heard the whispers of a group of people around him whose strength was comparable to his. Duanling Tian, are you really a sectless cultivator? Originally, Duanling Tian and Zhang Guangzheng were just chatting idly when Zhang Guangzheng suddenly asked such a question. Yes. Duanling Tian nodded in response to Zhang Guangzheng's question. In the Devata realms, Duanling Tian did not belong to a powerful sect. Naturally, he was considered a sectless cultivator. Even if someone from a small sect in the borderlands came to the central area, as long as they did not join a powerful sect, they would still be considered as a sectless cultivator. It's rare for a sectless cultivator to reach your current level at such a young age. However, from today onward, you're no longer a sectless cultivator. You're a true disciple of the Simplicity Celestial sect. Although Zhang Guangxing found it hard to believe Duanling Tian was a sectless cultivator, he did not say anything since Duanling Tian had said so. True disciple? Duanling Tian was taken aback. What's a true disciple? A true disciple is the title of the most outstanding disciple in the Simplicity Celestial sect. There are only 10 true disciples in the Simplicity Celestial sect. 10 years ago, one of our Simplicity Celestial sect's true disciples died. Since then we've been looking for someone to fill the spot. Since you've chosen to join the Simplicity Celestial sect, the sect leader decided to give you the position. Duanling Tian nodded. He could not help but ask, what's the difference between a true disciple in the Simplicity Celestial sect and a core disciple in the Coupling Celestial sect? Of course there's a difference. Zhang Guangxing replied. the Simplicity Celestial Sect only has 10 true disciples. However, the Coupling Celestial Sect only has around 100 core disciples. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian was rendered speechless again. He felt Bihai Mingfeng, the third sect leader of the Coupling Celestial Sect, was too petty. Previously, Bihai Mingfeng had promised Duan Lingtian that as long as he joined the Coupling Celestial Sect, he would be able to enjoy the benefits of a core disciple. However, there were more than 100 core disciples in the Coupling Celestial Sect. Even if they were treated well, how good could their treatment be? Since there are so few true disciples, they must have special privileges in the Simplicity Celestial Sect, right? Duan Lingtian asked. Of course. Zhang Guangjing nodded. True disciples can comprehend all the king-grade celestial methods and divine abilities in the Simplicity Celestial Sect. Naturally, there are many other benefits as well. You can learn more about them when you join the sect. Duan Lingtian nodded. Then, the benefits you promised as a direct disciple of the sect leader. Duan Lingtian suddenly remembered Zhang Guangjing's promise. In fact, since you've become a true disciple, you'll be treated the same as a direct disciple of the sect leader. Initially, I didn't expect you to become a true disciple of the Simplicity Celestial Sect. It was only after you chose to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect that the sect leader sent me a message. Duan Lingtian nodded. Realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. There were 81 Devata realms in total. Every Devata realm had a sacred place called the Heavenly Palace. It was the cultivation place of the heavenly emperors of the Devata realms. The Heavenly Palace represented the forces under the control of the Heavenly Emperor. In the Heavenly Palace of the Solitary Destructive Heaven. Ever since Feng Qingyang, the Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven, fled to the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms, many 10 directions celestial emperors fought for the position of the Heavenly Emperor. In the end, a 10 directions celestial emperor named Ni Yang took over the position of Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven and became the new Heavenly Emperor. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past the Heavenly Palace of the Solitary Destructive Heaven. A figure appeared out of thin air in the dark sky. Qinxiubo. As soon as the figure appeared, an indifferent voice rang in the air. It was as though a devil's voice had reverberated throughout the Heavenly Palace of the Solitary Destructive Heaven. Who's that? Who's so bold to address the Lord Heavenly Emperor by his name? Is he trying to rebel? When the indifferent voice echoed throughout the Heavenly Palace of the Solitary Destructive Heaven, everyone who heard it was shocked. Qinxiubo was the name of the Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven, Ni Yang Celestial Emperor. Although they knew it was the name of the Heavenly Emperor of the Solitary Destructive Heaven, no one dared to address him by his name since it would be disrespectful to him. Who's that? How dare you address the Lord Heavenly Emperor by his name? A few moments later, a tall and burly figure rose into the air from the Heavenly Palace of the Solitary Destructive Heaven. In just a blink of an eye, he arrived at the source of the voice. It's me. The white-clothed youth, who had a medium build and a handsome appearance, glanced at the newcomer indifferently. You, the tall and burly figure was a large man with a curly beard. However, when he saw the white-clothed young man, his eyes suddenly shrunk. Shock and disbelief appeared on his face. Lord Heavenly Emperor? The burly man's eyes turned red as tears streamed down his cheeks. It was as though he had turned into a crybaby at this moment. You. The white-clad young man shook his head. He looked at the burly man mockingly and said, Aren't you Qinxiubo's master now? It seems like you're going to stand up for Qinxiubo. Lord Heavenly Emperor, please don't make fun of me. The reason I haven't left the Heavenly Emperor Palace is because your soul orb is safe and sound. That's why I'm staying here and waiting for your return. The burly man smiled wryly. At the same time, the burly man frowned slightly. Lord Heavenly Emperor, why do I feel like your voice has deepened? This is just my clone from the Law of Earth. The white-clad young man said indifferently. Chapter 30-37. It's Lord Meng Luo. Even Lord Meng Luo was alerted. That person is definitely going to die if he doesn't call the Heavenly Emperor by his name. I think that since the other party dares to call the Lord Heavenly Emperor by his name, he shouldn't be too weak. Many people in the Heavenly Palace of the Solitary Destructive Heaven recognized the owner of the voice immediately when they heard the words who dares to address the Heavenly Emperor by his name. Meng Luo was a 9 Palaces Celestial Emperor. He was also a titled Celestial Emperor with the title of Heavenly Python. Meng Luo, the Heavenly Python Celestial Emperor, had followed Feng Qingyang, the Burning Heaven Celestial Emperor, into the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. He was also the right-hand man of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. When Feng Qingyang was hunted down and killed in the Azura Hell, Meng Luo chose to stay in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. It could be said that Meng Luo, the heavenly Python celestial emperor, was second only to the heavenly emperor in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Just as many people were about to soar into the air to watch the show, Yi Zichen's voice rang out. Meng Luo's thunderous voice rang in the air again, shocking everyone in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Qin Xiubo, our Lord Heavenly Emperor has returned. Why aren't you coming out to welcome him? The eyes of many grand elders in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven lit up when they heard Meng Luo's words. Our Lord Heavenly Emperor is back? Ah, I knew it. Even if our Lord Heavenly Emperor went to the Azura Hell, he would still be able to return. However, Qin Xiubo is not to be underestimated. Moreover, I heard he has recently made a breakthrough. He's not any weaker than our Lord Heavenly Emperor. Humph. Do you think our Lord Heavenly Emperor will remain stagnant after returning from the Azura Hell? Let's go. Let's welcome our Lord Heavenly Emperor. In the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven, a group of grand elders rose into the air and flew toward the two figures in the distance. Lord Heavenly Emperor. When they saw the white figure, the grand elders of the Heavenly Emperor Palace bowed. The white-clad young man was none other than Feng Qingyang, the former master of the Heavenly Palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Yes. Feng Qingyang nodded slightly when he saw the group of people. However, he quickly shifted his gaze to the east of the Heavenly Emperor Palace. There a tall figure appeared. It was a middle-aged man wearing a silver robe. His face was like jade, and he exuded an awe-inspiring aura. Feng Qingyang, I didn't think that you would be able to leave the Azura Hell alive. What a surprise. The silver-robed middle-aged man walked through the air from afar. With every step he took, the space around him shook violently. He was like an emissary who controlled space. Wherever he went, space trembled. Qin Xiubo. Feng Qingyang glanced at the middle-aged man. Based on his words, it was clear that the middle-aged man was Qin Xiubo, the current heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. You've been managing the heavenly emperor palace for me for the past few years. It's been hard on you? From today onwards, I won't bother you anymore. Feng Qingyang's voice was indifferent, but it contained an unquestionable tone. Feng Qingyang, we'll have to see if you have what it takes to reclaim the position of heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven. Qin Xiubo did not expect Feng Qingyang would be so direct. His eyes flashed coldly when he heard Feng Qingyang's words. If I remember correctly, you're just a defeated opponent. Feng Qingyang said indifferently. That was in the past. Qin Xiubo scoffed when he heard Feng Qingyang mentioning the past. I'm not the same as I was in the past. I wonder if you've improved? The moment he finished speaking, a crescent-shaped, 3-foot-long sharp blade appeared in Qin Xiubo's hand. It emitted waves of fierce aura. You're the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, but you don't even have a Devata artifact? Feng Qingyang looked at the 3-foot-long blade in Qin Xiubo's hand indifferently. He smiled faintly as though he was mocking Qin Xiubo's shabby appearance. Feng Qingyang, stop trying to be mysterious. Don't think I don't know that the soul of your Devata artifact, Solitary Annihilation Flaming Heavenly Sword, has been destroyed when you were pursued that day. In terms of strength, the current Solitary Annihilation Flaming Heavenly Sword is at most on par with my celestial artifact. Qin Xiubo sneered. Kuang Ling. Upon hearing Qin Xiubo's words, Feng Qingyang recalled how the soul of his solitary destructive flaming heavenly sword had died for him. He clenched his fists tightly as he made a promise to Kuang Ling, when the divine offering land reopens, I'll kill that person and avenge you. Kuang Ling was the soul of his solitary destructive flaming heavenly sword. Are we going to fight to the death? To the death? Feng Qingyang asked. If we fight to the death, it'll be too restrictive. Naturally, we'll fight to the death. Qin Xiubo said. Alright, let's fight to the death then. Feng Qingyang nodded. As soon as Feng Qingyang nodded, his body flashed and transformed into a khaki-colored energy that was surrounded by energy swords. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the next moment, the khaki-colored energy that Feng Qingyang had transformed into split into countless energy swords that swept in all directions. In just a blink of an eye, a gigantic cage that seemed capable of trapping heaven and earth appeared above the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven and enveloped Qin Xiubo. Boom. Rumble. A series of explosions rang in the air as the wind and clouds shook violently. The space above the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven shook violently as though it would shatter at any moment. In the blink of an eye, the cage that seemed to be able to imprison the world rapidly shrank, enveloping only Qin Xiubo within. This is, when Feng Qingyang transformed into a khaki-colored energy, Qin Xiubo's expression changed drastically. Now, as the cage shrunk and enveloped him, a powerful gravitational force descended upon him, and it pressed down on him to the point he couldn't even circulate the celestial origin energy in his body. Feng Qingyang, you've become a god? Qin Xiubo spoke once more, and his voice was filled with terror and despair. Becoming a god. This was the step that the 10 celestial emperors wanted to take the most, but it was also the most difficult to take. It was harder than ascending to the heavens. Becoming a god. Lord Heavenly Emperor has become a god? It seems like not only did Lord Heavenly Emperor not die during the previous calamity, but it even gave him a fortuitous encounter. At this moment, the eyes of the eminent elders from the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven lit up. I was wondering why Lord Heavenly Emperor suddenly transformed into the energy of the law of earth. As it turns out, it's just a clone from the law of earth. I've long heard that after one becomes a god, one would be able to form a clone of the law as long as one comprehends all the profundities of a law. As it turns out, Lord Heavenly Emperor only sent a clone back. Just a clone is enough to crush a titled celestial emperor like Qin Xiubo. Is this the power of a god? The eminent elders from the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven sighed. On the other hand, when Qin Xiubo saw that his celestial origin energy was completely suppressed, and even when he tried to condense his profundities, it was crushed by the gravitational force, he felt despair. Feng Qingyang. Qin Xiubo cried out when he saw the cage was shrinking. I don't want the position of the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven anymore. I'll return it to you. You've already become a god. There's no need for you to make life difficult for a mere celestial emperor like me, right? A hint of pleading could be heard in Qin Xiubo's voice. He was truly afraid of Duanling Tian. Although Feng Qingyang was strong in the past, Qin Xiubo was confident that he could defeat Feng Qingyang with his current strength. However, now that Feng Qingyang had ascended to the level of a celestial being, his strength had increased tremendously. He was no match for Feng Qingyang. In fact, Qin Xiubo did not even have the strength to fight back against Feng Qingyang at this moment. It seems like you're the one who said we'll fight to the death, right? Feng Qingyang's voice seemed to come from all directions, but it also sounded like it was coming from the cage. At the same time, not only did the speed of the cage not slow down, it sped up slightly instead, causing Qin Xiubo's eyes to almost split apart from rage. At this moment, not only was his celestial origin energy suppressed, but his body was also being controlled by the cage's gravitational force. Naturally, if it was just the gravitational force, it would not be so terrifying. The most terrifying thing was the sword-shaped energy surrounding the pillars that formed the cage. The energy from the profundities from the law of earth made Qin Xiubo feel suffocated. Feng Qingyang, as long as you spare my life, I'm willing to serve you for the next 1,000 years. No, for the next 10,000 years, I'm willing to serve you as my master. As the cage continued to shrink, Qin Xiubo could clearly feel a strange energy entering his body. At the same time, his vitality began to fade rapidly. He immediately began to beg for mercy. He even said that he was willing to be Feng Qingyang's slave for 10,000 years. Not interested. However, the response that Qin Xiubo was waiting for was an indifferent and deep word that suddenly appeared in the void. No. Qin Xiubo's eyes widened as he cried out in grief. And this was also the last voice he left in this world. Bang. Accompanied by a soft sound, before the cage could close completely, Qin Xiubo's body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. When the blood mist came into contact with the cage, it was immediately annihilated into void space, leaving nothing behind. Qin Xiubo, a titled celestial emperor, had died just like that. After Qin Xiubo's death, the cage turned back into an earthy yellow energy. Finally, the earthy yellow energy condensed and turned back into Feng Qingyang. Before I fought him, I had already sealed off the sound in this area. Feng Qingyang glanced at the crowd and said indifferently, I don't want anyone to know about my breakthrough. If I find out anyone is spreading the news. Chapter 30-38. Lord Heavenly Emperor, we will definitely not spread this news. The Heavenly Savage Celestial Emperor, Meng Luo, and the other eminent elders from the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven lowered their heads when they saw the killing intent in Feng Qingyang's eyes. At the same time, when they thought of the scenes they had just witnessed, their hearts trembled. After becoming a god, their heavenly emperor had killed Qin Xiubo, a 10-direction celestial emperor, with just a clone of the law of earth. Qin Xiubo was a famous 10-direction celestial emperor in the solitary destructive heaven. He was one of the strongest 10-direction celestial emperors in the solitary destructive heaven. And, if they remembered correctly, their Lord Celestial Emperor didn't seem to be most proficient in the law of earth, but the law of destruction, right? News of the battle in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven spread like wildfire. Feng Qingyang, the heaven-burning celestial emperor, the former heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, had returned from the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms. He had killed Qin Xiubo, the Niyang celestial emperor, and reclaimed his position as the heavenly emperor. As soon as the news spread, it caused a huge commotion among the celestial lords and celestial emperors in the solitary destructive heaven. At the same time as time passed, more and more people found out about this matter. Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang returned with a strong momentum and killed immortal Emperor Niyang Qin Xiubo. It seems like his entering the Azura Hell was a blessing in disguise, and his strength increased by a step. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill Qin Xiubo. In the past, Qin Xiubo was far weaker than Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang, but now he's no weaker than Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang when he didn't have a myriad heaven's divine artifact to rely on. Even so, he was still killed. It's clear that Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang's strength has increased much more than his. You have to know that the current Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang does not have a myriad heaven divine artifact to rely on. The current Heavenly Emperor Feng Qingyang, in terms of strength, is probably in the top 10 of the Heavenly Emperor ranking. The news of Feng Qingyang killing Qin Xiubo had shocked many celestial emperors in the solitary destructive heaven. Some even felt that Feng Qingyang's current strength was enough to be ranked in the top 10 of the Heavenly Emperor ranking. The Heavenly Emperor ranking of the Devata realms was a list that recorded the strength of the Heavenly Emperors in the Devata realms. There were 81 Heavenly Emperors from 81 Devata realms on the list. Feng Qingyang was only ranked 18th on the Heaven's Monarch ranking because he had a Heaven's God weapon. If he didn't have a myriad heaven's divine artifact, his ranking wouldn't be so high. Moreover, the Devata artifact in his hand was considered one of the more powerful Devata realms. In fact, it was known as the #1 Devata realm divine sword. The reason Feng Qingyang was able to defeat the Heavenly Emperor of the solitary destructive heaven was because he had received the solitary destructive flaming heaven sword's acknowledgement and help. Feng Qingyang did not go to the Title Temple to obtain a title. However, according to the Title Temple's rules, there was another way to obtain a title. The other way was to defeat or kill a Heavenly Emperor in a Devata realm and become the new Heavenly Emperor of that Devata realm. In that case, the Title Temple would bestow a title on him. This was how Feng Qingyang obtained his title. Feng Qingyang did not give himself the title of Burning Heaven. Instead, it was given to him by the Title Temple. It was derived from the word Burning Heaven in his solitary destructive flaming heavenly sword. The Heavenly Emperors in the solitary destructive heaven were unaware that Feng Qingyang had become a god. Otherwise, they would not have thought that Feng Qingyang's strength was enough to rank in the top 10 of the Heavenly Emperor ranking. After all, there was only one Heavenly Emperor on the Heavenly Emperor ranking who had become a god. Even the Heavenly Emperors who were ranked second and third were only demigods. Because of Feng Qingyang's deliberate concealment, other than his trusted subordinates, no one knew that he had become a god. As for why he wanted to hide the fact that he had become a god, only he knew. Your Majesty, did you hide the fact that you've ascended to godhood because of the Title Temple? In the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven, Meng Luo, the heavenly savage celestial emperor, asked the white-clad young man who was sitting in front of the wooden table as he stood in front of the wooden hut. Meng Luo, there are some things that you should keep to yourself. There's no need to say it out loud. The white-clad young man, Feng Qingyang, who had reclaimed his position as the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, raised his head slightly and glanced at Meng Luo indifferently. Yes. When Meng Luo heard this, he immediately shut his mouth. When he spoke again, he changed the topic. Your Majesty, how did you come out of the Azura Hell? The Azura Hell was one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms. Moreover, it was one of the more dangerous deadliest places. According to some people's speculations, among the 81 heavenly emperors in the Devata realms, only the top 3 heavenly emperors on the heavenly ranking and earth ranking were capable of coming out of the Azura Hell alive. Among the 3 heavenly emperors, one of them had already become a god, and the other 2 were demigods who were close to becoming a god. I didn't come out of the Azura Hell alive. Feng Qingyang said calmly, my main body is still trapped in the Azura Hell. Only my clones from the Law of Earth and the Law of Destruction have managed to come out of the Azura Hell alive. Even so, I'm still considered lucky. Otherwise I would have died in there. When Feng Qingyang reached the end of his sentence, Meng Luo could clearly sense the fear in his voice even though he had deliberately tried to calm down. Moreover, Meng Luo knew the Azura Hell was so dangerous that even a god might die in there. Otherwise, how could Meng Luo, the heavenly emperor who had already ascended to godhood, allow his main body to be trapped in there? The Azura Hell is so terrifying? Meng Luo was shocked. It's much more terrifying than you can imagine. Feng Qingyang's tone remained calm, but his hands were clenched into fists, and his palms were sweating profusely. Lord Heavenly Emperor, where's your clones from the Law of Destruction? Meng Luo asked. He remembered Meng Luo had comprehended all the profundities from the Law of Destruction before he comprehended all the profundities from the Law of Earth. Therefore, he must have condensed his clones from the Law of Destruction after he ascended to godhood. He went to take care of something else. Feng Qingyang replied. In the spirit overarching heaven. In the profound nether mansions territory in the southern heaven territory. As one of the 3 sects and 2 clans in the profound nether mansions territory, the Simplicity Celestial sect had a close relationship with the profound nether mansion. The Simplicity Celestial sect's estate was located at the center of these mediocre celestial crystal veins. A huge spirit-gathering formation gathered the heaven and earth spirit energy from more than 10 mediocre celestial crystal veins into the sect's estate. Under such circumstances, the heaven and earth spirit energy in the Simplicity Celestial sect was much denser than in the outside world. Naturally, not every place in the Simplicity Celestial sect's estate had the same density of heaven and earth spirit energy. In some places, the density of heaven and earth spirit energy was at least 5 times denser than other places. Lord Vice Sect Leader. Lord Vice Sect Leader. Duan Lingtian followed Zhang Guangzheng, the Vice Sect Leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, into the Simplicity Celestial sect. Along the way, the patrolling disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect greeted Zhang Guangzheng respectfully. At the same time, many people looked at Duan Lingtian curiously. They were curious about the identity of the young man following Zhang Guangzheng. What kind of status did the vice sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect have to treat him with such respect? Moreover, the vice sect leader had even allowed him to walk beside him. Senior uncle. At this moment, a voice rang from afar. Following that, a young man dressed in green flew over from afar. In just a blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Duan Lingtian and the others. After arriving in front of Duan Lingtian and the others, the young man bowed respectfully at Zhang Guangzheng. Hong Yi, your master already knows we're back? Zhang Guangzheng asked with a smile. That's right. The young man nodded. Master asked me to invite senior uncle and little brother Duan Lingtian to meet him. As for the others, I'll make arrangements for them. As soon as the young man finished speaking, he looked at Duan Lingtian who was standing next to Zhang Guangzheng and asked, I presume this must be little brother Duan Lingtian? As soon as the young man appeared, Duan Lingtian had noticed the young man looking at him out of the corner of his eyes. A hint of jealousy could be seen in the young man's eyes. Now that the young man was looking at Duan Lingtian, the jealousy in his eyes had turned into hatred. Who is this person? This is my first time meeting him and he hates me so much? Jealousy? What's there to be jealous of? Jealousy? What's there to be jealous of? Duan Lingtian was puzzled. However, in the face of this person's insincere greeting, he still nodded slightly as a polite response. Duan Lingtian, his name is Zheng Hongyi. He's the 3rd disciple of the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect. Let's go and meet the sect leader first. Zhang Guangzheng glanced at Duan Lingtian and said with a smile on his face. Then he looked at Zheng Hongyi and said, Hongyi, I'll leave the others to you. Yes, senior uncle. When Zheng Hongyi shifted his gaze back to Zhang Guangzheng, the jealousy in his eyes vanished without a trace. Brother Duan Lingtian, you're the first person in the history of the Simplicity Celestial sect to be appointed as a true disciple before you even joined the sect. Just as Duan Lingtian was about to leave with Zhang Guangzheng, Zheng Hongyi's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. When Zheng Hongyi mentioned being a true disciple, Duan Lingtian could vaguely hear Zheng Hongyi gnashing his teeth in anger. A true disciple? Upon hearing Zheng Hongyi's words, not only were the patrolling disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect shocked, But even the disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect who were following Zhang Guangjing to the Scaling Cloud Lake and those who were about to enter the Simplicity Celestial sect were shocked. Does this mean Duan Lingtian has been appointed as a true disciple before he even joined the Simplicity Celestial sect? A true disciple of the Simplicity Celestial sect is treated extremely well. Even among the direct disciples of the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, there are only 2 true disciples, right? Chapter 30-39. Although Zheng Hongyi is the 3rd disciple of the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, he doesn't seem to be a true disciple. No wonder he sounded jealous. He's jealous of Duan Lingtian. Even I'm jealous of Duan Lingtian. Although the peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials present on the scene had not joined the Simplicity Celestial sect, they knew what it meant to be a true disciple in the Simplicity Celestial sect. The sect leader actually gave the 10th position to a brat who hasn't even joined the sect? Meanwhile, the disciples from the Simplicity Celestial sect who were patrolling the area looked at Duan Lingtian in a different light. Who's this brat? He hasn't even joined the sect, but the sect leader has already given him the position of a true disciple. Moreover, the vice-sect leader seems to be very polite to him. It seems like the people the vice-sect leader brought back this time are those who survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm and chose to join the Simplicity Celestial sect, right? Is this brat someone who survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm as well? Since the vice-sect leader treats him so well, it seems like he's ranked very high on the scoreboard. Ranked high? He's not even 100 years old. How high can his ranking be? Not even 100 years old? He's really not even 100 years old. A peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who's not even 100 years old has comprehended one profundity. However, such a person shouldn't be worthy of the vice-sect leader's treatment, right? Such a person shouldn't be worthy of the sect leader giving him the position of a true disciple in the Simplicity Celestial sect. The patrolling disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect whispered among themselves. They were curious as to why the sect leader and vice-sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect treated the purple-clad young man so well. Although Duan Lingtian isn't even 100 years old, he's ranked 2nd in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. As the vice-sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, Zhang Guangjing's ears were sharp. It was not difficult for him to eavesdrop on the conversations of the patrolling disciples. Apart from that, not only is he a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, but he has also comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth. Zhang Guangjing continued. After he finished speaking, he looked at Duan Lingtian and said with a smile, "Duan Lingtian, ignore them. Follow me to see the sect leader." Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. Before he left, he glanced at Zheng Hongyi, then withdrew his gaze. Now he finally knew why Zheng Hongyi looked at him with such a gaze. It turned out that it was because he had been designated as a successor disciple. As for Zheng Hongyi, he was not a true disciple of the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect. As the direct disciple of the current sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, Zheng Hongyi must have been eyeing the position of a true disciple since a long time ago. Now that the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect gave it to me, he must be displeased. It wasn't hard for Duan Lingtian to figure this out. After Duan Lingtian left with Zhang Guangjing told him the reason Zheng Hongyi had targeted him. It was just as he had guessed. If you didn't show up, Zheng Hongyi would have had a high chance of obtaining the position of a true disciple. Zhang Guangjing said. After Duan Lingtian and Zhang Guangjing left, apart from Zheng Hongyi and Shui Jingyu who were aware of Duan Lingtian's strength, the other peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials and the patrolling disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect were shocked by Zhang Guangjing's words. A peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who's not even 100 years old has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth? How's this possible? It's still possible for him to be ranked 2nd in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, he's not even 100 years old, but he's already a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial and has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth. This isn't something an ordinary person can achieve. It's not just an ordinary person. Even the monstrous geniuses in the history of the Simplicity Celestial sect aren't able to achieve this. I didn't expect the purple-clad young man to be so monstrous. It's no wonder the sect leader and the vice-sect leader treated him that way. No wonder the sect leader gave him the position of a true disciple. As it turns out, his innate talent and comprehension ability are monstrous. Previously, not only the patrolling disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect, But even the peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had followed Zhang Guangjing back were unaware of Duan Lingtian's true strength. Did Duan Lingtian really comprehend two profundities from the law of earth? Many peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials were skeptical. There's no doubt about it. Before the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm opened, I personally witnessed the battle between Duan Lingtian and Xue Jingyu, the second prince of the southern Qi nation. Duan Lingtian was defeated by Duan Lingtian, a middle-aged peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who looked like a middle-aged man said as he looked at Xue Jingyu who was standing nearby. Xue Jingyu happened to be here as well. If you don't believe me you can ask him. Suddenly, everyone's eyes fell on Xue Jingyu. Xue Jingyu nodded. That's right. Duan Lingtian has indeed comprehended two profundities from the law of earth. Apart from the earth elemental profundity, he has also comprehended a defensive profundity. Even with my full strength I couldn't break through his defenses. Xue Jingyu said. As the second prince of the southern Qi nation and a genius, many of the peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials present on the scene were aware of Xue Jingyu's strength. Now that they had heard Xue Jingyu's confirmation, they no longer doubted him. Everyone come with me. I'll take you to complete the procedures to enter the sect, and then arrange a place for you to stay. Zheng Hongyi said to Xue Jingyu and the others after he saw Duan Lingtian and Zhang Guangjing's silhouettes disappear from his sight. He took a deep breath and suppressed the resentment in his heart. While leading Xue Jingyu and the others to go through the procedures to enter the sect, Zheng Hongyi's eyes flashed coldly. He's just a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Even if he dies in an accident, no one will suspect me. In his heart, he had already sentenced the purple-clad young man whom he had only met once to death. After all, the purple-clad young man had snatched his spot as a true disciple. Although he might not have been able to obtain the spot even if the purple-clad young man did not show up, at least he still had a chance. However, now that the purple-clad young man had appeared, he no longer had any hope of obtaining the spot. The sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect had one of the best cultivation places in the sect. The heaven and earth spirit energy here was at least 5 times denser than the outside world. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to notice this as soon as he entered. The sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect's cultivation place was located in a small valley. The valley was surrounded by lush greenery, birds chirped, and flowers bloomed. It was like a paradise. Sect leader Zhang Guangjing brought Duan Lingtian to the valley. He looked at the wooden house in the middle of the valley and bowed slightly. Senior brother Zhang, how many times have I told you? There's no need for formalities between us. Just call me by my name like before. If it weren't for you, senior brother Zhang, I would have died long ago, and I wouldn't be alive today. After Zhang Guangjing bowed, Duan Lingtian saw a figure appearing in the air above the wooden house. It was a middle-aged man with a medium build who was dressed in a shabby robe. The middle-aged man had an ordinary appearance, but his eyes were unusually bright. He had a sharp aura about him. He's the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect? Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed. Since the middle-aged man had appeared here at this time, there was no doubt he was the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect. Formalities mustn't be forgotten. Zhang Guangjing looked at the middle-aged man and said. The middle-aged man smiled helplessly. Then he looked at Duan Lingtian who was standing next to Zhang Guangjing and said with a smile, You must be Duan Lingtian, right? I'm the current sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, Sun Liang Peng. The middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian, his eyes slightly curved, and the smile on his face gave Duan Lingtian a feeling as if he was bathing in the spring breeze. Sect leader. Duan Lingtian greeted the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect when he heard the introduction. Senior brother Zhang has informed me of your situation through a communication celestial talisman. Sun Liangpeng looked at Duan Lingtian and said, However, I still want to test your strength. You won't mind, right? Before Duan Lingtian could reply, Sun Liangpeng added, Naturally I'll suppress my celestial origin energy to the level of a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial. At the same time, I'll only cast 2 profundities of the same law. Of course I don't mind. Duan Lingtian was not surprised by Sun Liangpeng's request. After all, the Simplicity Celestial sect had promised him many things. Great. Sun Liangpeng's eyes lit up. Then he stood on his tiptoes and flew up like a swallow. In just a blink of an eye he was 1,000 meters in the air. Duan Lingtian's figure flashed as he rose into the air as well. Chaos Divine Earth. At the same time, Duan Lingtian called out to the Chaos Divine Earth, The sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect isn't an ordinary person. When you're helping me defend, try to give him the impression that I've comprehended a defensive profundity from the law of Earth. Don't worry about it. The Chaos Divine Earth replied in its childish voice. Clearly, it was not worried Sun Liangpeng would see through its disguise. I heard you're proficient in a defensive profundity from the law of Earth. I'll use my celestial origin energy as a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, 2 profundities from the law of metal, and some Duke-grade celestial methods and divine abilities to attack you. Sun Liangpeng and Duan Lingtian stood facing each other. Soon enough, a strange-looking sword appeared in Sun Liangpeng's hand. The reason why this sword was strange was because it was not only 4 feet long, but also covered with all kinds of strange water chestnuts. Each water chestnut was shining with a sharp light. This is a king-grade celestial sword that has been nurtured by a celestial lord. It's also my personal weapon. Since you're ranked 2nd in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, I'm sure you have a purely defensive king-grade celestial weapon that has been nurtured by a celestial lord, right? Chapter 30-40. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. In the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, Duan Lingtian had obtained 2 purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons that had been nurtured by celestial lords. Yes. Sun Liangping nodded. Then, he raised his hand, and the sword in his hand trembled before it formed a dazzling snowflake in the air. In the next moment, a dazzling golden light shone from the snowflake as faint ripples appeared in the air. It was obvious Sun Liangpeng had used some other technique to create the snowflake. Apart from the law of metal's fundamental profundity, the metal elemental profundity, I've also infused the law of metal's slicing profundity into my sword. The slicing profundity is one of the 2 most powerful offensive profundities from the law of metal. It's as famous as the piercing profundity. Sun Liangpeng's sword continued to transform as he spoke to Duan Lingtian. Almost at the same time when Sun Liangpeng's words left his mouth, the sword in his hand trembled. The sword flower that was drawn up instantly merged into one and finally transformed into a sword ray that shot out toward Duan Lingtian. Swoosh! The sword ray shot out like a raging dragon. When the sword light was halfway through its flight, it began to compress and condense at an extremely fast speed. In the end, it turned into a long golden thread. As the golden thread passed through the air, a sharp buzzing sound rang in the air as though it would be sliced apart at any moment. What a powerful sword! So this is one of the 2 most powerful offensive profundities from the law of metal, the slicing profundity? Duan Lingtian had learned about the law of metal's profundity from the profound divine metal earlier. He knew the 2 most powerful offensive profundities from the law of metal were the slicing profundity and the piercing profundity. When Sun Liangpeng launched his attack, Duan Lingtian tried to dodge the attack. However, he soon discovered the attack seemed to have locked onto him. There was no way he could dodge it at all. Apart from that, his speed was not as fast as Sun Liangpeng's attack. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The golden threads swept through the air, seemingly capable of tearing apart space and everything as they descended upon Duan Lingtian. Since he couldn't avoid it, Duan Lingtian didn't try to avoid it and chose to take it head-on. The silhouette of a black armor appeared on the surface of his body. Then he fused his celestial origin energy with the earth elemental profundity into the armor as well. The Duke-grade celestial method, the immovable king wisdom, the Duke-grade divine ability, the eastern purple chi, and the heaven-grade assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic were all cast. In the blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian went all out to defend himself. At the same time, the chaos divine earth's energy surged out of Duan Lingtian's body and merged with the black armor. Immediately, around the black armor phantom, there were clear crystal refraction lights, making the black armor look like it was covered in a layer of crystal. This is the defensive element of the laws of earth, the crystal wall profound. Sun Liangpeng's eyes lit up. As the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect, he was, naturally, familiar with the characteristics of various profundities. Among the many profundities from the law of earth, the crystal wall profound was one of the only 2 profundities that focused on defense. Your assist-type divine ability isn't a Duke-grade divine ability. Your profundity is on par with mine. I'd like to see if you'll be able to block my attack. Sun Liangpeng was filled with anticipation. At the same time, with just a thought in his mind, the golden thread was like a sharp blade that could cut through everything. It swept toward the black armor silhouette that was propped up by Duan Lingtian's body. Boy, use the gravitational space profundity. Otherwise, he'll be able to see through my crystal wall profound. The Chaos Divine Earth's childish voice rang out in the air. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded. Then he cast the gravitational space profundity. A weak repulsive force surged out and shrouded the golden threads. In just a blink of an eye, the golden threads encountered resistance. Naturally, this resistance was nothing to the golden threads. After a slight pause, the golden threads continued to fly toward Duan Lingtian. Oh, the gravitational space profundity? Sun Liangpeng's eyes lit up. Although I haven't comprehended it yet, I'm certain I've comprehended it. It's only a matter of time before I comprehend it. How surprising. He's not even 100 years old, but he's already a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who has comprehended the law of Earth's earth elemental profundity, the crystal wall profundity, and the gravitational space profundity. It seems like the Simplicity Celestial sect has picked up a treasure this time. At this moment, Sun Liangpeng had completely acknowledged Duan Lingtian. At the same time, with just a thought, the golden thread that streaked across the sky disappeared into thin air. Duan Lingtian was taken aback when he saw Sun Liangpeng had stopped attacking. He did not understand what Sun Liangpeng was trying to do. Now that I've witnessed your strength, that's more than enough, Sun Liangpeng said with a smile. At the same time, he glanced at Zhang Guangzheng, who had risen into the air, and said, Senior Brother Zhang, thank you for your hard work. Leave the rest to me. All right. Zhang Guangzheng understood what Sun Liangpeng was trying to say. After witnessing Duan Lingtian's innate talent and comprehension ability, Sun Liangpeng planned to personally welcome Duan Lingtian into the sect so that Duan Lingtian would feel a sense of belonging to the Simplicity Celestial sect. After all, there was nothing better than being personally welcomed by the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect. Therefore, after bidding farewell to Duan Lingtian, Zhang Guangzheng tactfully left. Duan Lingtian, I'll bring you to the Simplicity Celestial sect's treasure vault. Initially, I agreed to let you choose 2 items from the vault. However, I feel a sense of familiarity when I see you. For this reason, I'll give you 3 items from the vault. After Zhang Guangzheng left, Sun Liangpeng said to Duan Lingtian with a smile on his face. Sun Liangpeng. What a brilliant way to win people's hearts. Duan Lingtian could tell Sun Liangpeng was trying to win people's hearts. In other words, Sun Liangpeng was trying to do him a favor. Sect leader, if I find 3 items that I like in the vault, I'll definitely repay your favor, Duan Lingtian said with a smile on his face. The meaning behind his words was clear. After choosing 2 items from the Simplicity Celestial sect's treasure vault, if there was a 3rd item that caught his fancy, he would ask Sun Liangpeng for it. If he did not find anything that he liked, he would not ask for Sun Liangpeng's favor. As you wish. The smile on Sun Liangpeng's face remained unchanged, but his heart was in turmoil. Duan Lingtian might be young, but he's not someone to be trifled with. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to remain as calm as him in the face of such temptation. Unless someone like him dies prematurely, once he matures, he'll definitely become a terrifying figure. In the future, let alone the profound Nether Mansion, even the Southern Heaven territory won't be able to hold him. With this thought in mind, Sun Liangpeng no longer dared to underestimate Duan Lingtian just because of his young age and weak strength. The Simplicity Celestial sect's treasure vault was protected by layers of formations. It was said that even ordinary celestial lords would not be able to break through the formations. For this reason, there was no one guarding the treasure vault of the Simplicity Celestial sect. After all, there was no need for it. Duan Lingtian, don't think it's easy for me to bring you in. If I didn't bring you in, even ordinary celestial lords wouldn't be able to force their way in. Sun Liangpeng said to Duan Lingtian as they walked through a series of complicated underground passages before they finally arrived at an altar. Duan Lingtian nodded. Along the way, Duan Lingtian could see Sun Liangpeng's solemn expression as he activated and deactivated the formations one after another. He could tell that the formations in the Simplicity Celestial sect's treasure vault were not something ordinary formations could compare to. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally arrived at the altar. It was not big, and a human-shaped statue could be seen on top of it. The human-shaped statue was of a Taoist priest. He held a 3-foot-long sword in his hand and pointed it at the sky. Although it was just a statue, it exuded a domineering aura. This statue belongs to the founding ancestor of the Simplicity Celestial sect, Han Feiyu. Sun Liangpeng bowed 3 times at the statue before he said to Duan Lingtian. Following that, under Duan Lingtian's watchful eyes, Sun Liangpeng raised his hands and made a series of complicated hand signs. He did this for 15 minutes. Finally, A pattern formed by his celestial origin energy that had merged with the law of metal's fundamental profundity, the metal elemental profundity, gradually appeared in front of him. It shone with a dazzling golden light. When the golden light finally shone, it seemed as though the pattern had come to life. Then it flew toward the statue on top of the altar. After the pattern emitted golden light and shot into the statue's eyes suddenly lit up and shot out 2 rays of golden light. Meanwhile, whoosh, 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 whoosh. As the sword whistled through the air, streaks of golden light shot out from the tip of the 3-foot-long sword in the statue's hand. In the end, they intertwined and fused with the golden light from the statue's eyes. Swoosh, swoosh. In just a blink of an eye, the 2 rays of golden light turned into a huge beam of light that shot toward Duan Lingtian and Sun Liangpeng. Relax and don't resist. Sun Liangpeng reminded Duan Lingtian. As soon as Sun Liangpeng finished speaking, the beam of golden light shrouded Duan Lingtian's body, causing him to feel as though something was tugging at his body. Duan Lingtian, who had initially planned to resist the tug of golden light, immediately dismissed the thought when he heard Sun Liangpeng's words. This is a transportation formation? As the beam of golden light shrouded him, the tug of golden light grew stronger. Duan Lingtian's vision suddenly turned dark and his feet felt lighter. At this moment he realized the beam of golden light was the effect of the transportation formation. Chapter 30-41. The cave was extremely spacious, but there were no entrances or exits to be seen. This is the treasure vault of the Simplicity Celestial Sect. At this moment Sun Liangpeng, the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial Sect, said, although there aren't many treasures in the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault, all of them are top-notch. The weakest king-grade celestial weapon here is a purely defensive king-grade celestial weapon that has been nurtured by a celestial lord. Ordinary king-grade celestial weapons that have been nurtured by a celestial lord aren't qualified to enter our treasure vault. A hint of pride could be heard in Sun Liangpeng's voice when he finished speaking. Is there a royal-grade celestial weapon here? Sun Liangpeng's arrogance vanished when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Sun Liangpeng's lips twitched when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Although the Simplicity Celestial Sect had a royal-grade celestial weapon, it was in his possession. Apart from him, no one else knew he had a royal-grade celestial weapon. In the history of the Simplicity Celestial Sect, only the sect leader knew about the existence of a royal-grade celestial weapon. Moreover, it was only passed down to the next sect leader. The Simplicity Celestial Sect would not use the royal-grade celestial weapon unless it was in a dire situation. After all, the sect might not be able to protect the royal-grade celestial weapon if it was exposed. No. Sun Liangpeng took a deep breath before he said to Duan Lingtian, royal-grade celestial weapons are extremely precious. Even if we had one, we would have handed it over to the profound Nether Mansion a long time ago. With the strength of the Simplicity Celestial Sect, we're not strong enough to protect a royal-grade celestial weapon. After Sun Liangpeng finished speaking, he changed the topic and said, however, although we don't have a royal-grade celestial weapon in our treasure vault, we still have many valuable treasures. Apart from the 3 purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons that have been nurtured by celestial lords, the rest of the treasures here aren't any less valuable than purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons that have been nurtured by celestial lords. In fact, the moment he appeared in the cave, Duan Lingtian's eyes had already swept through everything in the cave. Among them, 3 of them were purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons. Their auras were similar to the defensive king-grade celestial weapon that Duan Lingtian was wearing. Clearly they had been nurtured by celestial lords. Apart from the 3 purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons, there were hundreds of other items in the cave. There were some small brocade boxes, some dusty immortal talismans, some array discs and some materials. As for the materials, Duan Lingtian could recognize some of them. They were all very rare materials, but they were not very useful to him right now. In addition, there were nearly 10 items that Duan Lingtian could not identify. Among the 10 items, the one that attracted Duan Lingtian's attention the most was not any of the dazzling treasures, but an ordinary-looking withered tree branch. Is this some kind of medicinal herb that I don't recognize? Duan Lingtian guessed. Lad, you're in luck. At this moment, the Chaos Divine Earth's childish voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind. I didn't expect to find a first-form Clear Heaven's Divine Wood here. Clear Heaven's Divine Wood. Upon hearing the Chaos Divine Earth's words, Duan Lingtian's eyes widened in shock. One of the 5 divine elements, the Clear Heaven's Divine Wood? The Clear Heaven's Divine Wood was one of the 5 divine elements. It was as famous as the profound divine metal, the chaos divine flame, the chaos divine earth, and the world-cleansing divine water. Where's the clear heavens divine wood? Duanling Tian asked the chaos divine earth. Over there. Upon hearing the chaos divine earth's instructions, Duanling Tian shifted his gaze to the ordinary withered tree branch. This is the clear heavens divine wood? Duanling Tian was dumbfounded. He did not expect the withered tree branch that he thought was extremely ordinary was actually one of the 5 divine elements, the clear heavens divine wood. However, it's not surprising if this is the first form of the clear heavens divine wood. After all, I've seen 3 types of profound divine metals in their first form. Most of them are just like stones. Duanling Tian thought about the first form of the profound divine metal that he had seen more than once. Sect leader, what's this material? Is it an ingredient used to refine celestial pills? Duanling Tian asked as he pointed at the first form clear heavens divine wood. Sun Liangping nodded. Oh. Sun Liangping nodded. With a wave of his hand, he took the first form clear heavens divine wood and said, the 3rd sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial sect obtained this branch by accident. It's a strange relic. It's suspected to contain the law of wood's twining profundity. Celestial origin energy surged out of Sun Liangpeng's hand as he fused it with the clear heavens divine wood. In the next moment, Duanling Tian saw the clear heavens divine wood that looked like a dried tree branch extended thin branches one after another. In just a blink of an eye, they wrapped around Sun Liangpeng's hand that was holding the clear heavens divine wood. At this moment, Sun Liangpeng's hand seemed to have become one with the tree branch. When I withdraw my celestial origin energy, the branch will return to its original state. As Sun Liangpeng withdrew his celestial origin energy, the withered branch returned to its original state. It was as if nothing had happened to it. It looked extremely ordinary, like a withered branch that could be seen everywhere under an ordinary tree. However, although this branch seems to contain the law of wood's twining profundity, none of the disciples of the Simplicity Celestial sect were able to comprehend the law of wood's twining profundity even after tens of thousands of years had passed. Nobody was able to comprehend the law of wood's twining profundity. Sun Liangpeng continued to explain. What I meant by improving one's comprehension of the winding profundity is that those who have comprehended the law of wood's winding profundity to the rudimentary stage won't be able to improve their comprehension of the winding profundity to the initial stage. Sun Liangpeng was worried Duanling Tian would not understand what it meant to raise one's profundity, so he quickly explained to Duanling Tian, king-grade celestial methods and divine abilities can only help one comprehend a profundity to the rudimentary stage. To improve one's comprehension of a law to the initial stage, one must obtain a royal-grade celestial method or divine ability that contains the law of wood's profundity. To improve one's comprehension of a law to the mastery stage, one must obtain an emperor-grade celestial method or divine ability that contains the law of wood's profundity. Sun Liangping spoke very patiently. All right. Duanling Tian nodded. However, as of now, I only know that this tree branch can't help someone who has comprehended the twining profound meaning to the minor completion realm. Perhaps, it can help someone who has comprehended the twining profound meaning to the minor completion realm to the mastery realm. When Sun Liangping reached the end of his sentence, it seemed like he was actively promoting the dried branch in his hand to Duanling Tian. Sect leader, do you believe what you just said? Duanling Tian asked as he looked at Sun Liangpeng. Sun Liangpeng smiled awkwardly when he saw Duanling Tian looking at him meaningfully. Of course, he knew that the dried tree branch in his hand couldn't help someone who had comprehended the winding profound to the minor completion realm to the greater completion realm. If the branch could improve one's comprehension of the twining profundity to the initial stage, it would be easy for it to improve one's comprehension of the twining profundity to the initial stage. I'm just saying. I don't think this thing is very useful. It's fine to keep it, but if you want something useful you should choose something else. Sun Liangping smiled awkwardly as he tried to salvage the situation. At the same time, he put the withered branch back to its original position in a timely manner. Sun Liangping thought Duanling Tian would not be interested in the branch, but he was shocked when he saw Duanling Tian's hand. With a raise of his hand, Duanling Tian grabbed the withered branch. You're right, sect leader. Although it's not very useful, it's fine to keep it. Coincidentally, I like to collect strange things. This will be the first treasure I'll choose from the treasure vault. Duanling Tian said as he put the withered tree branch into his spatial ring. Duanling Tian. Sun Liangping exclaimed. Sun Liangping only regained his senses after Duanling Tian put the branch into his spatial ring. He frowned slightly and asked, Have you made up your mind? In Sun Liangpeng's opinion, the Simplicity Celestial sect had studied the branch for tens of thousands of years and still could not figure it out. Therefore he was certain Duan Lingtian would not be able to find anything useful with it. However, in order to win Duan Lingtian's favor, Sun Liangpeng reminded Duan Lingtian, although the branch looks extraordinary, it's not very useful. Don't worry, sect leader. I've thought about it carefully. Since I don't have anything else in mind, I'll choose this branch first. As Duan Lingtian spoke, he began to look at the other treasures in the Simplicity Celestial sect's treasure vault. Sun Liangpeng could not help but feel that Duan Lingtian was being willful. Chaos Divine Earth, are there any other first form 5 divine elements here? For example, the first form World Cleansing Divine Water. There are 2 bottles here that seem to contain some water. Could it be the World Cleansing Divine Water? Duan Lingtian asked the Chaos Divine Earth as he glanced at the 2 translucent bottles that were filled with liquids. Brat, do you really think the 5 divine elements are cabbages? The Chaos Divine Earth said in its childish voice when it heard Duan Lingtian's question. Based on his words, it was clear to Duan Lingtian that the 2 bottles did not contain the World Cleansing Divine Water from the 5 divine elements. Sect leader, what's the liquid in these 2 bottles? Duan Lingtian asked Sun Liangpeng as he pointed at the 2 bottles. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.